Wait, I think I'm on the wrong screen. Hold up. Full screen. There we go. Okay. Check one, two, check one, two. And if you don't hear any background music, that's because there isn't one right now. I wanted to check something here in the loading screen, the file menu. So, anyway, let's get started here. Hey everyone, my name is Ruka. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to another Shibuya Scramble 428 stream. A lot of stuff has happened last time since we left off. Well, since we wait, I'm kind of half awake. I'm kind of half awake. I'm also kind of half asleep. So I'm been up for the past hour, but apparently my brain hasn't caught up yet. Anyway, that aside, I do feel a little bit better compared to the past couple of days. Finally, the body feels like it's recovering from the Miku boxing stream, and so I feel a lot better. It also made me realize that getting out of bed does not require my arms to prop myself up because that hurt. That hurt quite a bit when I tried to use basically my arms that were still hurting from the exercise. Instead, it kind of forced me to use my core to prop myself up, and that actually is a good exercise by itself. Just focus on the core, focus on your abs. Get up using only your abs. I don't know how many people actually do that, but that's what I found out, and I'll probably keep doing it for a while to train those abs. Anyway, let's do a little summary of what happened last time in Shibuya Scramble because there was a lot of stuff. But before that, also, this is the thing I wanted to get to, I guess. I didn't realize, I did not realize we were about 29 hours into the game, and also ran into 32 bad endings. Now, we've gone bad ending after bad ending after bad ending in this game, but 32 bad endings was is a lot. Over the many chapters that we've done, I did not realize we've run into that much already. So, anyway, let's get into it, do a quick recap, and then we'll get started. All right, so quick recap on what has happened last time on Kano's route. What did happen on Kano's route? We were at a cliffhanger with Kano's route. Okay, so with Kano's route, he found out that Tatano, the detective he looks up to, isn't quite the detective that he he thought he knew. Tatano, his background is basically he was in love, I suppose, with Achi's mom during their high school days, but for some reason gave her up to his friend Daisuke, which is also now Achi's dad. So that's one part of the very complicated friend history, I suppose. The other thing is that I guess Achi's sister, Shizune, looks so much like her mom that it kind of made Tatano want to help her get better by finding someone who has the same blood type, donor type thing, and basically doing some really questionable stuff to doing some really questionable stuff to basically get a heart transplant. Yeah, it's that kind of thing apparently. And now I guess he also has a thing where he just kind of wants to die and doesn't really care which way it goes now. I guess either way, if he dies, he gets to see Shizune, maybe, in his mind. But if he does help out with acquiring a heart transplant donor, then it's his way of like keeping his old lover slash girlfriend's memory alive or something like that. Anyway, Kano doesn't like all of this, and to be frank, it is kind of crazy on Tatsuno's part. He lost his mind a long time ago. And so last time we saw them, they were at a shootout, or at least Tatsuno was waiting for Kano to shoot him. And then we went into a cliffhanger. We don't actually know if it connected or not, so we'll find that out later. Minorikawa will be doing his route here in a bit, but basically Minorikawa thought that Toyama, his old boss slash friend, died in the minivan explosion, and it's like, what is the point of anything anymore? Is going through his mind. What's the point of anything anymore? Because this was to all help his old friend slash boss. But he still went back to the publishing place and trudged on with writing the article and stuff like that. What he doesn't know is that Toyama actually didn't die in the explosion, and through Kano's route, we released the name of who actually died in the explosion, and that should snap him out of this funk. Also, it should get the debt collectors off him, but the debt collectors will probably go after Toyama instead. Well, it'd be what it'd be. Osawa. Quick recap on Osawa. Osawa is trying to open up a little bit more to everyone else around him. Also found out that his wife, Ai, is the one who sent the threatening emails to him about the... What was that? The clinical trials for his antiviral that were like done illegally. Illegal human clinical trials. Pretty serious business right there. And so, it's like he has no allies left, I guess, in his house, except for maybe the police officers. But the police officers, the detectives that were assigned to the kidnapping case, have to all leave because the kidnapping case has been closed / handed off to someone else now. The only one who stayed is Kajiwara, who at first we thought was really socially oh wow, my voice. Really socially deaf. He doesn't seem to take social cues very well, or at least he doesn't notice social cues. Apparently he used to have a family, and part of everything that he's been doing is, I guess, what would it be like if he was a better person back in the past. So I guess it's Kajiwara's way of making up also. And then Osawa is basically found his only friend in Osawa. Reminder, not Tatano. Tanaka? I think it's Tanaka. I'll call him Tanaka until I actually remember the name. Tanaka, who was Osawa's assistant, who is also partially responsible for the whole kidnapping thing, and a whole slew of other events, was the actual person who died in the minivan explosion, and that name is getting released, and because he's dead, now they can't get the antiviral out of the lab because they need a fingerprint and a second password that only not Takano. It's probably Takano, actually. Anyway, that guy. They probably they probably can't get in any other way other than some sort of hacky roundabout way of like just breaking into the vault somehow. No idea how they're gonna do it, because they're basically getting railroaded every other way, blocked. Okay, so Maria is at a keep out she is with Tateno up on a rooftop, and basically Tateno is taking Maria hostage until Hitomi comes with Kano, but Kano's not bringing Hitomi with him, as far as that we know. So we're gonna have to switch to Maria at some point to figure out how to get around the situation. Achi. Achi is at the hospital where his sister Shizune is at. And because he was, I think, checking on her after hearing that she wasn't doing so well. And met up with Stanley, the CIA officer that was with Kano for a while, and now he's back with Achi instead. Achi finally connected a lot of dots together, which is quite a feat for him. About Shizune's heart condition, heart transplant thing. He told me why the gunman's after Hitomi, as well as what his dad might be up to regarding certain things. And he's not too pleased to find out all that's said and done, that his dad hired a hitman to go after Hitomi so that his sister Shizune, Achi's sister Shizune, could get a heart transplant. Yeah, it's kind of messy right there. It's kind of messy right there. So I'm not sure how that's gonna get all resolved, but good on Achi to connect all those dots together and find out why the gunman was able to find them pretty easily. So to resolve today, before we get to the next chapter, is Minorikawa's route, as well as Maria's route. So let's do Minorikawa first, and then we'll jump on to Maria for the big finale for this particular chapter. All right, let's get going then. Chiaki's copy. Let me go over here. Nope, don't do that. Minorikawa snapped back into the present as a sheaf of papers appeared in front of his face. Here you go, Chiaki said, radiating anxiety. Right. Minorikawa gave her copy a close read-over, then thrust it back out to her. What did you even fix? He asked. Could you please tell me what parts are wrong? She mumbled, hanging her head. What are you talking about? It's just, well, we don't have a lot of time here, so I figured if I just fix the parts that need fixing. Chiaki trailed off into a distinct mutter. Is that always how you go about fixing your copy? Yes. Then you're never going to get any better. If someone tells you it's no good, you rewrite the whole thing from scratch. Just making fiddly tweaks here and there is what an amateur does. Chiaki dipped her head even deeper, cringing at the reprimand. Minorikawa let out a tiny sigh. Look, what I just told you. That's what Toyama told me when I was first starting out. There were times he'd have me do dozens of rewrites. At first, I thought he was just pushing me around. But after rewriting things over and over, I realized something. There are a whole lot of ways you can write about the same thing. And that's what helped me hone my skills as a writer. Chiaki raised her head back up. Oh wow, really? If you can get that, then stick with it. Ride your submission deadline as close as you have to in order to write the best piece you can. Okay, I can do it. I will do it. Finally, Chiaki's face brightened with a smile. That's the spirit. The woman might have talent, but she hadn't realized yet. She needed to be able to stick to an assignment even when things got tough. If she didn't have that kind of resolve, she'd never make it as a freelancer. And then there's these Yakuza/loan sharks here, just watching everything. Oh, how touching! Ozu chimed in, applauding. I'm almost moved to tears. They'll make a movie of this for sure. See? We had only been acquainted with that sad sap Toyama. We never knew there was such an upstanding fellow here who was so good at tough love. Minorukawa shot to his feet and pounded his fist on the desk. That's about enough from the peanut gallery. Hold your tongue, Sagawa snarled. His eyes shone with a vicious gleam. We're getting sick of waiting here. Sagawa, you really are a short-tempered guy, aren't you? Ozu clucked disapprovingly at his underling, then slid a sheet of paper onto Minorukawa's desk. Nevertheless, I'm afraid we do require a decision now. If you'll just stand here, we'll be on our way. Chiaki stared down at the document. Is this a bond of recognizance? Yeah, that's right. That's what you're right when you're transferring a debt. Sagawa puffed himself up proudly. Minorukawa silently looked over the contract. If you don't have a stamp, we'll gladly accept a signature as well, Ozu pointed out. Face it, pal, Sagawa added. If you don't hurry up and sign, we're never gonna stop going after Toyama's daughter. Minorukawa snatched up a pen. Mr. Mino, you can't do this. Think about what you're doing, Chiaki shouted. If you go through with this, you'll just wind up like Mr. Toyama. I won't. Yes, you will. Just who the hell do you think I am? I'm Minoru Minorukawa, damn it. I'm going to land so many scoops it will make your head spin. I'm going to pay back this debt and rebuild Heaven Publishing. But why would you take such a risk? Chiaki sobbed. Minorukawa lowered his voice. Because I owe him so much. I can't stand by and let these scumbags kill his daughter. Oh, he actually signs? I don't think he got this far, last time. Minorukawa readied his pen and signed the document. Alright, Sagawa cheered. Now we're talking. A satisfied grin came to Ozu's face as he reached for the contract. But before he could pick it up, Chiaki snatched it from the desk. What? Really? She's eating it? I'm not letting you do this. Crumpling the paper, she stuffed it right in her mouth. Hey! Sagawa snapped. What the hell are you doing? He tried to force Chiaki's mouth open. Don't you dare, you bitch! I don't think that's how you force a mouth open. It's a little ineffective. But despite his frantic efforts, Chiaki managed to gulp the wad of paper down. Hey Panzer, welcome! We just kind of started, I did a whole recap. And we're on Minorukawa's route right now. And the only thing you missed was that I think last time he didn't sign the contract to transfer his debts, transfer Toyama's debts over to him. But Minorukawa actually signed, and now Chiaki is eating the paper because she won't allow this. And I think we'll probably get some news regarding who actually died in the minivan explosion. Because last time, Minorukawa didn't realize or didn't know that it wasn't actually Toyama that died, his old friend slash boss, and it was someone else. But in Kano's route, we basically gave the advice of, yeah, release the name of who actually died in there. We might get more information from the press and stuff like that. So hopefully the press will actually deliver on the release name, and then this whole thing will probably be a wash. But how much of a wash? I have no idea. Ozu looked down, dumbstruck. I would be dumbstruck too if she ate paper in front of my face. Guess we gotta get a new contract from the office, boss. Bring as many as you want, Chiaki declared. I'll just keep eating them. Girl, you got some kind of damn goat or something? Goat. The mental image of a goat eating paper is a common one, dating back to long ago, when paper was made solely out of plant material. If a goat were to eat modern paper, the wad of chemically treated pulp would go undigested and possibly cause an intestinal blockage. So please do not feed paper to goats. Right. Time to watch us fever dream while doing grinding some protocols. Good luck. Sagawa shoved Chiaki up against the desk. That's a scene. Ow, cut it out! That hurts! As she struggled to resist, Chiaki lurched towards the desk, planting one of her hands atop the TV remote control. Accidental TV turning on. One of her fingers happened to land on the volume up button. Wow, it was that low this entire time. The sound of the television the sound from the television set soon hit max volume. We have just learned that the identity of the victim killed in the explosion. Shibuya resident and a pharmaceutical executive. Shibuya resident? Minakawa tilted his head in confusion. Toyama didn't live in Shibuya. Once again, the victim of the explosion was Shibuya resident and pharmaceutical company executive, Mamoru Tanaka. 40 years old? Really? I mean, I guess. The cause of the explosion remains unknown. The police are still in the process of following up several potential leads. The site of the incident remains an alarming scene, with relief workers continuing to tend to the wounded. And everyone is surprised to find out it wasn't actually Toyama. Wait. I just realized the guy with the Hawaiian shirts, the floral print stuff, has some stuff in his hair. What is that? Curlers? Pins? I don't think I noticed that before. The four people in the editing office spoke in near unison. Huh? Who's Tanaka? Who's Tanaka? To be continued at Who's Tanaka. Oh my gosh. It's like, if Tanaka's the one that died, where's Toyama? Well, we'll find that out later. We gotta get through Maria's route first. And I think to get to Maria's route, we have to jump from Kano. So, jumping time from Kano. Right, showdown between Tatano and Kano up on the rooftop with Maria in between them. Kind of. Kano stared back in shock. Detective Tatano, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? Jump. Jump. Wait, why is there a decision point here? I hear a faint voice and realize that the man is listening to a wireless radio. I've managed to secure Hitomi Osawa at Shibuya Central Hospital, the voice says. A gleam comes to the gunman's eyes. Still can't go over the comically small barrel of a gun. It is a concealed weapon gun. It's not a Glock. What is it? It's a six-shooter. Don't know what the I don't remember what the make is. I think they actually mentioned it, but it's the ideal gun though for concealed carry, for sure. He pulls his cell phone from his jacket and hurriedly makes a call. All right, this Maria's route. I've secured Maria Osawa, he says to whoever's on the other end. On the other end is, I think, Achi's dad. Huh? Maria Osawa? Is my name Maria Osawa? It's not Tama. It is funny. It is funny. You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. Oh no, it's Kano. Hitomi Osawa. If I'm Maria Osawa, what sort of relationship do I have to Hitomi? If you don't bring her, I'll kill Maria. Then my captor hangs up. Were you serious just now? My voice wavers uncontrollably. What do you mean you'll kill me? Don't look at me like that. He steps in closer to me, his expression dangerous. That killer's edge that he lost during our little talk is back in full force. Just bear with me a little longer. He blindfolds my eyes with some sort of towel. I can't see through it at all. Just then, I hear Kanan's voice inside my head. My memories are like shards of broken glass tumbling through my mind, all out of sequence. Oh, cat's cradle? How are you able to do that when the string is so tangled up? Oh, once you know the trick to it, you can do it with your eyes closed. I'm showing Kanan how to do a cat's cradle. She reaches out for the string. Huh? She doesn't get hold of it quite right. What gives? Despite her efforts, the string gets all jumbled up. I've actually never done cat's cradle before. No, not like that, I say. Hook your index finger through the front part of the string. No, I get that. Kanan's getting irritated. But after giving it a few more tries, she finally manages to pull it off. There we go, she says. Look at that. Seeing her innocent little smile bolsters my own spirits. That's neat. Oh, that's neat. Thanks for teaching me. Oh no, it's nothing special. Here, as a thanks, let me teach you some skills to help protect yourself. That is quite a trade-off. Teach cat's cradle. Learn martial arts. Abruptly, my memory jumps forward a bit. Oh? Is this the fight with... no. Kanan has been training me in some sort of self-defense. Techniques for protecting oneself when attacked. Rather than defeating the opponent, self-defense training generally prioritizes simply getting oneself away from danger. Some people consider behavioral tenets such as run away when you're attacked or don't go near dangerous places to be forms of self-defense as well. Don't overthink it, she says. People will either try to punch you, kick you, or grab you. If you can stay ready for those three things, you'll be able to take it from there. She demonstrates some defensive movements as I watch. I follow suit, doing my best to mimic her. Okay, let's do this. Oh wow, that's quite fast. Kanan throws a punch at me. I dodge, grab her by the wrist, and give her arm a hard twist. Incredibly, she goes whirling through the air. It seems like she knows a little bit herself, or maybe this is after training. I can't tell. She lands nimbly on her feet, a little grin coming from her face, to her face. Nicely done, she says. I stare down at my own hand. Did I really just do that? Once you repeat the movement enough, your body will treat them like second nature. And that's how she beat the the bar hostess. I do as she says, trying to repeat the movement over and over again. At first, it feels like a little silly gimmick, but eventually I can feel the motions growing smoother. There you go. People like those thugs we met before won't get the drop on you again. Nice. Thugs? Now my memory zips further back into the past. Further into the past. In the alleyways of Istanbul? I was wandering through the streets trying to get back to my hotel, but I'd gotten lost. By the time I realized I wandered in some dodgy back streets, I was already surrounded by people giving me threatening looks. They must have been thugs looking for tourists to rob. If they had caught me, I'm not sure I would have made it out alive. But they hadn't. Kanan had seen to that. Thank you so much for what you did for me. I didn't want there to be a scene, Kanan said bluntly as she surveys the aftermath of the thug's attack. That's all. I'd happened to be right underneath her apartment window when I was nearly abducted. Bit by bit, my memories of Kanan are starting to resurface. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more and I'll have myself back. I'm sure of it. Detective Tadzano, where are you? A man's voice suddenly snaps me back into the moment. It's Kano. I've come as you asked. The gunman grabs me by the arm and yanks me to my feet. Where's Hitomi Osawa? He snarls. Why didn't you bring her? Detective Tatano, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? My captor removes my blindfold. Oh, did he? I don't remember him removing it. I guess that would make sense so that I could see. The first thing I see is a huge blimp slowly drifting overhead. Huh. I'm sure I've seen it before. And pretty recently at that. The blimp? Really? There's a flash of revelation inside my head. Like a dam bursting, my memories come flooding back to me. Oh. It's a blimp! Getting thrown around. Last night, I was at a party. A sort of mixer with the exchange students. Oh, she's remembering! Someone was plotting to use this party as an opportunity to abduct my sister, he told me. Yeah. And so he told me that the party started 1 hour later than it really did. I had a plan. To let myself get abducted in Hitomi's place. Of course, the idea wasn't just to let myself get kidnapped. Oh, she had the necklace before. Oh, that's why she recognized it. So she basically bought her necklace back at a ridiculous price. Wow. Oh, wait, what? It had a GPS? The necklace I wore was outfitted with a tiny GPS. Wherever I happened to be taken, Kanan would be able to track my location. Ah, I see. That was from Kanan. What we hadn't counted on, though, was my necklace getting torn off when I was attacked. It's always a MacGuffin of some sort. I'd managed to grab hold of it, but I hit my head when I was being shoved into the car and it slipped from my grasp. I'm not sure how far we drove after that. In my fuzzy memories, I recall gazing blearily out of the car window. And you saw the blimp? Ayakamiki! It's an Ayakamiki blimp. Oh, I see. That was when I saw the blimp, right after we parked. Yes, it went fine. There was a man talking to someone on a cell phone. Alright, I'll shut her up inside the storeroom. I'll be waiting in the room upstairs. The man dragged me out of the car and shoved me in some dark storeroom. And she got beaten unconscious. Okay. Then I guess for good measure, he hit me on the head again. And that's how she got amnesia. That's right. There's more of it coming back to me now. And this looks like a scene from a Bible movie for some reason. The desert, the cloak, you know, the famous scene with Jesus or something. I don't know. You spent your life living in the country at peace in Japan. You couldn't possibly understand me. Is that Kanan? Kanan again. So it's not like she and I became fast friends right away or anything. The two of us were too different in a lot of ways. Where do you draw the line? What would you protect with your life? What does justice mean to you? A forlorn look came over her face whenever Kanan asked me a new question, and I never had a good answer for any of them. My flimsy grasp of my own personal identity made it hard for us to get along, yet I kept visiting Kanan's place for the duration of my trip. I recall doing the cat's cradle there at the table one time when we didn't have anything in particular to talk about. Her eyes had gone wide when she saw me deftly manipulating the string with my fingers. Who taught you how to do that? She asked. My mother. My real mother, that is. Kanan furrowed her brow. What do you mean real? As opposed to my stepmother, I mean. My birth mother died after getting really sick. I was only 5 years old, so I don't remember her that well. I see, Kanan said. Her expression remained unchanged. What about your parents, Kanan? I don't have any. They died during the war. The bluntness of her response made my hands stop, the string still stretched between them. Sensing that we were treading on some serious ground, I hurried to change the subject. Do you have any friends? No. Well, I used to have one. Her use of the past tense made me fear for the worst, and I was right. He was killed too. By an arms dealer named Alfard. Her tone was dry and matter-of-fact. Taking revenge for his death is my sole purpose in life. Despite the gravity of her words, her face was an unreadable mask. She seemed almost incapable of human emotion. So, what sort of person is this Alfard? A destructionist who masquerades as a terrorist. Destructionist who masquerades as a terrorist. What is the difference, to be honest? Destructionist? That sure wasn't a term that came up a lot back in Japan. Alfar doesn't believe in God and holds no political ideology. The chaos and destruction is just to earn money in order to carry out more terrorist acts. Ah. So you're saying this Alfar commits terrorism because it's fun? Kanan nodded. That's why every now and then Alfar changes loyalties. Just when you think you found ties with some Middle Eastern terrorist organization, it turns out the job was for the American CIA. What the heck? So Alfar stands for nothing then? Yeah, I guess so. Hell of a description, yeah. Kanan smiled dismissively at my little childish outburst. I couldn't help but feel a little patronized. Hey, that's pretty good bridge. I twiddled my fingers, turning my cat's cradle into a bridge. Kanan's eyes fixed right back on the string. A tiny surge of pride replaced my annoyance. She went quiet, watching closely as I worked my fingers. The tension in the room faded as the silence between us lengthened. My stepmother's the sort of person who couldn't do this sort of thing, I said at last. For some reason, I had a sudden urge to talk about my personal life. I guess she cares about herself more than looking after her children. She's not a bad person though. Is she really? Is she really not a bad person? I feel like she's a terrible person from what I've seen, but I wouldn't know. She gives me weird bits of advice like telling me to find someone to date, or that a woman's life is defined by a man. Still a bad person from I'm getting. Where am I? But it's not like I hate her or anything. Would you mind teaching me? Kanan asked softly. What? How to find a date? No. She shook her head. Then she pointed to the cat's cradle strung between my fingers. Oh, you mean this? So I took her by the hand and started to teach her the cat's cradle. Hey, do you mind if I ask you something? I said after a while. What's that? That friend you mentioned earlier. What was he like? Kaden's fingers went still. It's better if you don't ask. If I tell you, you won't want to come here anymore. That's not true, I insisted. Even though I'm a terrorist, she replied curtly. Terrorist, one who uses fear and violence to attain political objectives. The term has its origins in the reign of terror in the 18th century France, known in French as la terreur. I swallowed a sudden lump in my throat, unable to find words. We fight for righteousness, but you people call us terrorists. In the religious sense, the state of being virtuous, free of sin, and observant of the proper rules of moral conduct. Not the same as being in the right, though many people equate the two. Am I wrong? Well, when you use bombs and guns, that's a little bit different, but who am I to say? She cast a quick look at my face. But I mean, you protected me. My voice wavered as I replied. All I did was take down some thugs. I just didn't want them around. What could I say to that? I just stammered. Nah, I'm messing with you. Huh? Kanan flashed me another slight condescending grin. I was just joking. Don't worry about it. You're not actually a terrorist? Is that the joke? But I didn't get the sense that everything she said was a joke. Even if calling herself a terrorist was an exaggeration, the world Kanan lived in was unquestionably a dangerous one. I could tell that from the cold look in her eyes, a look you'd never expect from an ordinary teenage girl. Just what sort of hardships has she endured to acquire that deadly stare? Having lived all my life in peaceful Japan, I could scarcely imagine. Kanan tried and failed several times to get the cat's cradle right, but she didn't give up. She worked fastidiously by herself, fingers continuing to shift awkwardly about. Okay, here we go. She hooked the string around her finger and spread her palm. But the string's shape just collapsed into a jumbled mess. Confound it. Okay, one more time. You can make this into a game with two people, you know. I plucked the string from Kanan's hand. You pass the string back and forth. Why don't we try that? It's more fun than doing it by yourself. I wrapped the string around my fingertips. What do you say? Want to give it a go? Kanan looked dubious. The intricately intertwined strings were like the world in a way. What had started as a single thread was now something that couldn't be undone just by pulling on it. I held my hands out, twirling the string around my fingers. Kanan took the pattern from me and spread her palms apart. She made a perfect bridge between her hands. The shy grin that came to her face made her finally look like a normal girl. I followed suit with a childish little laugh of my own. End of flashback. And as if in a blaze of sunshine, the fog that's been hanging over my head finishes receding. I remember everything. My name is Maria Osawa. My sister Sotomi Osawa. And Kanan. She's a dear friend who I met in a far-off land. She helped me once, and now it's my turn to help her. She remembered! She's no longer Tama officially. I close my eyes as I reflect these precious memories, all the dearer for having been lost. Now when I try to picture Kanan, I can do so clearly. It's just as I thought before. My memories are what makes me who I am, and I would never choose to forget them. I feel almost as if time had stopped for me while my history was gone, and now it started moving again. I'm finally back to being me. Yeah, but you still have a gun to your head. FMV? Is this actually how we were supposed to end this chapter? And I have to go. I have to go back there one more time. Back where? Where are you going? Where are you going, Maria? The end? Wait, what? What? End of her story? We finally got an ending? End? Wait, what? Wait, we got one ending, what the heck? What was that just now? $17 to 1800. I think this means Maria is officially... Oh! Maria is officially not a playable character anymore. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that came out of left field. Holy crap. Okay. We might be getting closer to the end of the game. I don't know if this is gonna be at the end of the game now. But let's get through this chapter, see what happens. And, yeah. Okay, since we were left on a huge cliffhanger with Kano, let's check Kano's route out, and then we'll go to everyone else's. Right, this was Kano shooting. A gunshot rang out from Tatsuno's gun. Oh, wait, let me redo that. A gunshot rang out from Tatsuno's gun. But it was a wild shot, fired reflexively as the weapon flew out of his hand. A figure had leapt from behind the water storage tank, kicking him in the arm that held the gun. Then, moving almost too fast for the eye to track, the newcomer delivered an elbow strike to Tatsuno's jaw. Kano didn't even have the chance to fire his gun. Oh, so it wasn't Kano. And let me guess, the figure is Kanan? Before he could react, Maria's kidnapper was already laid out on the ground. Without so much as looking back, the girl bolted down the stairs. "Maria!" Kano shouted. He started to chase after her, but a bright glimmer in the corner of his eye stopped him in his tracks. A strange assailant had drawn a knife, and was preparing to slit the unconscious Tatsuno's throat. Kano quickly brought his gun back to bear. "Stop right there!" The knife stopped, mere millimeters from Tatsuno's neck. Kano was sure that if he hadn't intervened, the detective's throat would have been slit already. The knife wielder pulled back the hood that had been concealing her face. I know you," Kano said, shocked to see that he recognized the attacker. Wait. Is this, This is Kanan, right? Yeah, that's Kanan. It was a girl who's been knocked down by the minivan explosion. "Why stop me?" She asked, her tone ice cold. "Weren't you just about to shoot him yourself?" "I don't have a reason to shoot him anymore. Not now that you've helped Maria escape. Please, put the knife away." "Very well. Looks like he's not waking up for a while anyway." The girl withdrew the knife and rose to her feet. "Why did you come to Maria's rescue?" "Because she's my friend," the girl said simply. "She's been infected with a virus," Kano said. We have to get her to help as soon as possible." He headed for the stairs and Maria had scampered down. "Not so fast. Don't move." The girl's sharp tone made Kano stop. "What for?" he demanded. "I thought you wanted to help." "I do want to help her, which is why I'm not letting the police get their hands on her." The girl's voice was quiet, but hard as steel. "The police are afraid of the UA virus spreading, which is why they'll certainly place Maria under quarantine. If that happens, there won't be any way to save her." "Just who in the world are you?" "Before I answer that, let's make a deal." Kano waited, non-committal. "I have information relevant to this case," the girl continued. "I want to make an exchange." Kano swallowed a lump in his throat. "An exchange for what?" "Tell me where Hitomi Osawa is." "Hitomi? Why Hitomi?" "Hitomi Osawa?" Stanley had taken Hitomi into custody. Kano could probably get in touch and ask him where she was, but why do you want to know where Hitomi is? "Do we have a deal or not?" The girl looked like she was in no mood to argue. Still, if she knew about the UA virus, she was probably telling the truth about having information. But it was a violation of police policy to leak information on any investigation to a third party. Besides, was it wise to trust this young woman without knowing who she was? Kano weighed his options for a moment before replying. Alright, I'll tell you, no way I can't share that info. First, I need to know who you are. Let's go with that first. First, I need to know who you are. My name is Kanan. Kanan? Kano thought back to the grisly scene at the Foreign Syndicate hideout. Oh yeah, that happened. Did she do that? Kana was almost afraid to wonder. As if sensing his unease, Kanan spoke up, her voice low and calm. Once you hear what I have to say, I think you'll be more inclined to to tell me where Hitomi is. There was still a lingering trace of adolescence in the strange girl's voice. It was hard to believe someone so young could be a covert Middle Eastern operative. And yet Kano had seen how quickly she'd been able to render Tatsuno unconscious. Alright then. I guess I'll go first, Kanan began. There's someone out there trying to get their hands on the antiviral drug. My objective is to eliminate this person and put a stop to their plan. I think you're a little too late about that. She already got a jab to her neck last time we checked, but she probably doesn't know that. Kana felt neither surprise nor horror at her use of the term eliminate. After all that had happened today, he realized his sensibilities had gone numb. This person you're after. You're talking about the arms dealer named Alphard, aren't you? Kanan nodded. The Uo virus has been weaponized and tested several times on the battlefield to great effect, she said. The antiviral will render this weapon wholly ineffective. Countries the world over are dying to get their hands on it. Then why did Alphard orchestrate this kidnapping? If the goal is to get the antiviral, why not just steal it from the laboratory? There was a lot about this kidnapping case that still didn't add up. Kano was sure Alphard's plan was hidden in those baffling details. Rory-san, konnichiwa. この時間にちょっと待って。ちょっと少し読めますけど I can't read it very well. Let me see. Let me just see what you're saying here so I can understand what you're saying. Oh no. To English, please. It seems unusual at this hour. Good evening. Konbanwa. Konbanwa. Lab security at Akoshi Pharmaceutical is practically perfect. The place is under surveillance 24 hours a day. And getting to where the antiviral is stored requires bypassing 3 sophisticated electronic locks. Getting the antiviral out is impossible. Okay, so she knows the security details of the antiviral. Got you. Unexpectedly, a sly grin appeared on Kanan's face. If you were Alphard, how would you steal it? She asked. Huh? Kano was taken aback by this sudden question. He thought good and hard about how to answer. There must be some way to get those locks open, right? Osawa heads up the lab. Wouldn't he be able to get it out? You can't sneak something out, maybe you could sneak something in. You wouldn't need to steal it, just wait until the drug hits pharmacy shelves, right? Okay, in this case, the pharmacy shelves would be a little bit difficult. If you can't sneak something out, sneak it in. By sneaking in this case, the antiviral drug is already in Hitomi, so that's sneaking in someone, right? Osawa heads the lab. Wouldn't he be able to get it out? Cannot do that without a second person. Must be some way to open the locks. We're not opening the locks, we're trying to get it out. So, if you can't sneak something out, maybe you could sneak something in? Kano hadn't had any particular flash of insight. He just figured the opposite of the obvious might be the answer. To his surprise, Kanan gave a nod. Very astute. Wait, really? 6 days ago, Alphard injected Hitomi Osawa with the Uo virus. What? The tale had taken a sudden and very unexpected turn. We already knew this from a different route. So it wasn't only Maria who had been infected by Hitomi as well. And 6 days ago at that. Wait, hold on. Hitomi Osawa was perfectly healthy earlier today. So that must mean... Exactly. Kenji Osawa administered the antiviral to her. An unsettling thought occurred to Kano. It was supposedly impossible for Osawa to access the antiviral all by himself. But if he'd been able to give it to his daughter all the same, then that had to mean he needed Mamoru Tanaka's help to do it. Of course, Kanan said. Which is why Alphard bribed Tanaka ahead of time. Oh, that's what happened. Wait, why would you bribe Tanaka? So that's what happened. Tanaka had been paid off to inject Hitomi with a virus. Oh, that's how... Wait, what was in it for Tanaka though? Getting Osawa to take action at that point wouldn't have been difficult. But why go to such lengths to get the antiviral administered to Hitomi? Why would Alphard have Hitomi infected with the virus only to then have her father cure it? It's been roughly a week since she was given the antiviral. The DDS is still in her body. The what? Essentially, taking blood from Hitomi Osawa would allow someone to extract minuscule amounts of the antiviral. Kano was stunned. Suddenly, all these seemingly unrelated threads were beginning to form a pattern. So since getting the antiviral itself out of the lab wasn't an option, Alphard must have thought of using a human vessel, he murmured. Which means the thing that Alphard really after is... Kanan nodded. Yes, Hitomi's blood, she finished. Alphard specifically requested that Hitomi make the ransom handoff, Kanan said. Additionally, the crime syndicate was hired to carry out a relay with the attaché case containing the ransom money. This would disrupt the investigation and distract the police, allowing the kidnappers to target Hitomi in secret. Wait, no, hold on. There was something about this story that still made no sense to Kano. Tell me this, he said to Kanan. Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? Why not use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? Why not use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? Could have, but would Tanaka take the risk? No. Was there really no other way to get the antiviral? Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? They tried to, but Maria was kidnapped by mistake. We know that much. So maybe we go this route. Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? That was the key question right there. Why kidnap Maria instead? If Alphard wanted Hitomi's blood, adopting her, not her sister, was the obvious move. Had the kidnappers mistaken Maria for Hitomi? Yes. Surely they couldn't have been so foolish to abduct the wrong target. The girls hadn't gotten themselves mixed up, have they? Had the kidnappers mistaken Maria for Hitomi? Yes. The two were twins after all, so it wasn't inconceivable, but... It's my fault Maria was kidnapped. Kanan looked away. I contacted her before this all started. I told her about the kidnapping plan, and I gave her a GPS beacon to give her to her sister, so that I could track Hitomi's location after she was abducted. But my plan backfired. Maria switched places with Hitomi and let herself get taken by Alphard. What the hell? Why had Maria taken this to the police? Or if she was so determined to protect her sister, why not just get her to leave town or something like that? There must have been some sort of accident though, Kanan continued. The GPS was never turned on after the kidnapping and I wasn't able to track Maria down. Oh, right. But there was something that even Alphard hadn't counted on. Kanan cast a glance over at Tatsuno. This person right here, she said. So Tatsuno had disrupted Alphard's plan by going after Hitomi himself. Considering where this all led, Kanan continued, Alphard must be panicking about now. But we can't let down our guard. Even now, I'm sure the mastermind is thinking of some way to fit what this man has done into the master plan. So it's a perfectly imperfect plan. Is that what you're saying? Precisely. Why is she smiling? Kanan flashed Kano an approving grin. I heard that from Stanley, Kano said. The man who drove you to the hospital earlier. That case officer, huh? Case officer. So that was it. Stanley was CIA. You didn't guess that a long time ago! The US Embassy in Akasaka functions as a headquarters for the CIA's Japan branch. As the embassy building is not reliably secure, however, the agency carries out many of its activities in specially constructed embassy annex facilities, often under the guise of cultural exchange organizations. There are reportedly over 100 CIA personnel active in Japan, but given the inherently secrecy involved, the exact number is not officially known. Now that Kano thought about it, it all made sense. Since Alphard is an arms dealer with worldwide connections, I don't know what nation might be trying to obtain the antiviral. Obviously, any country that has the antiviral weapon would want to prevent their enemies from obtaining it. It's no huge surprise that people are butting in trying to put a stop to Alphard's plan. What's that beep? A tiny beeping caught Kano's attention. Kanan pulled a PDA from her breast pocket. Personal digital assistant. I'm guessing this is a pager? Refers to various types of small portable devices for information management. Occasionally also referred to as an handheld PC. I don't think I've seen one of these. Pocket PC. Actually, it looks like a smartphone. It looks like a smartphone, but I guess smartphones weren't a thing back then? What? I'm gonna have to look this up later. This seems interesting. Interesting. The GPS I gave to Maria had just been powered on. Now we can find her location. Where is she? She's on the move. But why is the GPS suddenly active now? Kanan frowned. At any rate, I told you what I know. Now tell me where Hitomi is. Alright. Kano got out his phone and called Stanley. Something doesn't add up. Something doesn't add up. If Kanan is supposedly here with Kano, how did she get from the hospital where Stanley was to where Kano is that quickly? The American was quick to pick up. What's going on? Where's Hitomi? We're on our way to Endo Electronics in Dogenzaka. Endo Electronics? Why are you going there? Kano was familiar with a dilapidated old storefront. He had passed by the place countless times. Too long of a story. There's a lot that's happened, Stanley replied. How are things on your end? About as bad as they could be, but I'm getting closer to the truth. Please, make sure to keep Hitomi safe. Alphard is after her blood. Her blood? Kano told Stanley what he'd heard from Kanan. I see. So that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi back to the precinct. Where is she? Kanan asked as soon as Kano had hung up. She's on her way to the electronics store in Dogenzaka. I see. Kanan checked Maria's location on her PDA. First, I need to get Maria, she said. I'll get to Hitomi after that. I'm going with you. Be my guest. With that, Kanan was off and running. Kano took one last glance at the unconscious Tatano, then hurried after Kanan as fast as he could. Well, Tatano's at least alive, but he's gonna be out cold for a while. They ran from South Hill and Nanpeidai towards Shibuya Station. As they darted and weaved madly through the narrow side streets, Kanan took on an occasional glimpse at her PDA. It felt to Kano like they must be taking the shortest possible route to Maria's location. He stayed quiet, keeping pace as Kanan led the way. Before he knew it, they were heading up Dogenzaka. In not too long, they'd be at Endo Electronics. Hey! Kano called out to Kanan. What? She shouted back without turning. Are you sure this is the right area? Are you doubting the GPS? No, it's not that. Actually, can I see that GPS unit? Can I see the GPS unit? Kano peered over Kanan's shoulder and saw that the GPS was indeed pointing the direction they were headed. They weren't just running around at random, nor was the unit broken. Huh. Endo Electronics right up ahead, he said. What? Kanan stopped abruptly. What are you suggesting? The twins are heading for the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? Kano hadn't figured that out yet. Why is Maria going for Endo Electronics? I don't think she has any reason to. They took off running again, and before long, Endo Electronics came into view. Kanan stopped in front of the shop door. Right there, she said, glancing again her GPS. I knew it, Kano thought. Endo Electronics, the same place they told me was headed. Guess we're all winding up together, Kanan said. Or else we've been brought together. She peered keenly at the building and its surroundings. Kano swallowed hard. We? You think you've been roped into this too? Quite possibly. Kanan flashed a winning smile, then started to head into the shop. Hold on, I need to report into HQ. Kano hurriedly called Kuze on his cell. I'll lower the background music a little bit. Seems a little bit loud. Just say. Alright, there we go. Kano, what's going on? I've located Maria Osawa. Huh? What's that? Kuze's words came out as a surprise and childish yelp. Come on. Kanan's smile turned into a steely glare. Time is critical. He nodded silently back at her. Kano, what's the location? Kuze asked. Where are you? I can't say right now, sir. Please, just leave this to me. Hey! Now, just hold on! But Kano ignored the director's squawking and hung up. Kanan had already entered the shop. She seemed wholly unconcerned by the idea that she might be playing right into Alphard's hands. Despite her youth, she clearly thought of herself as quite capable. Warily, he followed after her. After navigating a veritable cavern of junk, they came to a door that led to the living area beyond. Kanan quietly opened the door and immediately stepped inside. The home was divided into a dwelling area and a workroom. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom, raised in anger. Okay. Don't you want to save Suzune? Kano and Kanan crept closer. I'm guessing he's talking to Achi? Peering through the next doorway, they saw a tense confrontation in progress. Maria and Stanley were standing there. Oh wow, how did it get to this? Looking down at a middle-aged man who had restrained Hitomi with a stun gun pressed to her throat. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. A young man stepped into view, speaking to the older fellow. But do you think this is what she'd want you to do? Kano watched intently, tensing for action. There was so much at risk here. He was about to barge into the workroom when Kanan grabbed him by the shoulder. Let's wait and see how this goes first, she whispered. He realized this was good advice. If they provoke the older man, things could very well take a sharp turn for the worse. They just have to hope the young man could talk him down. Okay, we can jump from here. Alright, I guess we're gonna go to Achi's route really quick. So far, Osawa is not involved in any of this, but Achi and Kano are definitely gonna intertwine here a little bit. And I guess Minorikawa, we haven't got into Minorikawa yet. Let's see, 1735. Got you. Alright, Achi, it's your turn. Last time we saw them, they were at the hospital, so now they're coming from the hospital to back home. Achi told Stanley and told me that his father had what his father had done. As she listened, Hitomi hung her head. Her face was sallow. Sallow? What is sallow? I'm sorry, Achi told her. I'm not really sure what to say. He clenched his fist so hard, his knuckles popped, struggling to keep his emotions in check. So, if I were rendered brain dead, you could help your sister, Hitomi murmured. Brain dead, a state where brain function has ceased irreversibly. In Japan, there are two conditions for declaring brain, I think that's a typo, brain death. The first is that the patient must be comatose and in a state of apnea, no longer breathing, due to damage to the brain. The second is that the root cause is diagnosed and it is deemed that no reasonable treatment will restore the brain function. Stop, Achi said quickly. Please, don't say things like that. A sad look came to Hitomi's face, and she pressed her right hand to her heart. I mean, to find out like this. She turned to Achi, tears glistening in her eyes. I want to help your sister, but we have other things to worry about right now. This time, it was Stanley who cut her off. Remember, Alfarda's after you, Hitomi. Isn't that what Kanon told you? Yes, she said I was the mastermind's target. Hitomi wiped her tears away with her fingertips. So Alfarda and Achi's father are after the same thing, Stanley said. Is that just a coincidence? It didn't sound like he thought so. Hold up, Achi growled, leaning in from the back seat. Yeah, my dad's out of line, but he did what he did for Suzune. He wouldn't work with terrorists. I'm not saying he's deliberately aiding terrorists, Stanley replied coolly. It's common sense that a pro wouldn't get an amateur involved with their plans. That makes it too likely that a clumsy misstep will cause things to fall apart. But then again, that's not the way Alfard thinks. So actually, the likelihood of failure could be part of the plan. Achi thought back to what Kanon had said earlier. If you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outline becomes blurred and it makes it harder for anyone outside looking in to grasp what the actual plan is. Not only have they put together a perfect plan, they've purposely left uncertain tiny holes in it. So if we assume that the plan has failed, this slip-up might be exactly what Alfard wants, Stanley muttered. Sort of an intentional hole then? Achi said. Stanley snorted. Kanon told you guys that too, huh? If that's the case, then you really are a fool. What'd you call me? Achi barked. If you've known all along how formidable this opponent is, you should have given Hitomi over to the police custody right away. It's only a matter of dumb luck that either of you are still alive right now. Look, luck or not, me and Hitomi have managed to get by safely. That's all that matters. What exactly is the relationship between you two anyway? Are you guys dating? Achi and Hitomi exchanged glances. When Hitomi hesitated uneasily, Achi decided he'd better speak up. No, it's not like that. We just happened to run into each other earlier today. Guess I'm not the kind of guy who can abandon someone in trouble. Can't abandon someone in trouble, huh? You sure you're not just trying to make yourself feel self-important? There are plenty of people out there that you can't see who are also in trouble, who are also suffering. If you only help the ones close at hand, then what's the point, really? The world's a lot bigger than you can imagine, and there's a lot you're blind to. So what? If I see someone who's in trouble, I'm supposed to just ignore them? Nah, I can't do that. If I see someone who's collapsed from hunger, I'm not just gonna walk on by because there are people starving elsewhere in the world. I'd be all, hey, let me treat you a beef bowl, or whatever. You couldn't have come up with a smarter example? No. He's straightforward like that. Stanley replied with a tiny laugh. Okay, so I'm an idiot. Achi scowled. My bad. Stanley laughed again. Today's been an interesting day, he said. I wish I was with another fellow. I was with another fellow earlier who was just like you. Meaning what? Was he an idiot too? Yeah, he was an idiot. Do all you Japanese have that problem? Hardly. My little sister's so smart she'd make your eyes pop out. Well, I'm sure relieved to hear that. If everyone in this country were as dumb as you guys, I might actually start to like this place. Huh? What does that even mean? Talk so I can understand, man. Achi shot back. But Stanley didn't respond. Instead, he stuck his head out the car window, peering at the road ahead. Wow. I'm getting the feeling that Stanley's a bit of a softie. They were close to Shibuya Station now, and the traffic had ground to a halt. Gridlock again? Stanley grumbled. It's probably better to walk the rest of the way to the Endo Electronics. He pulled over to the side of the road. Specifically, the shoulder that runs along either side of the travel portion of the roadway. A place where trash tossed out the windows of moving cars tend to accumulate. Tossing cigarette butts and empty cans onto the street can potentially hurt people, and it definitely makes a mess. Please, don't litter. I just realized he was driving a Chevy. In Japan! Achi got out of the car, feeling his guts knot up with worry. Pretty soon, he was going to have to confront his father. Stanley gave Achi a look. Are you scared about meeting with your father? I'm not scared. First things first, I'm gonna punch him right in the face. Then we can have ourselves a chat. Don't let your emotions get out of control. Your father might be one of the key players in this case. I don't give a damn about that. Achi took Hitomi by the hand and started walking. Really, Achi hand-holding right now? They'd gone up and down Dogenzaga so many times already today. But it was probably the last time he and Hitomi would make their way up the hill together. His anger rising, Achi picked up speed as he marched onward, wanting to confront his father as soon as possible. No, calm down, Achi. Achi walked at an easy pace, wanting to delay the end of their time together just a little bit longer. Once they reached his home, this kidnapping case will be all over, because his own father, Daisuke, will be arrested as the culprit. Kidnapping for ransom carries a potential life sentence, with a definite term of imprisonment of no less than 3 years. Bringing Daisuke down would be easy. Achi wasn't worried about that part at all. If he didn't hold back, there was a good chance he'd wind up hurting his father. Holding back. Getting hurt. Flashbacks? Oh, he did take lessons before. I see. A memory from long ago rose in Achi's mind. A pure white karate gi. Thrusting out with his left fist. Daisuke collapsing to the floor. One of many memories of his father that Achi could not forget. So he is trained a little bit. Kneeling before the memorial altar of his mother, Kotone, Achi wept uncontrollably. He clutched his ohajiki tightly in his hand. Ohajiki, A toy made of small coin-shaped glass beads, somewhat similar to marbles. I've seen these things before. I never knew what they were called though. The typical game involves flicking one's piece into opponents with a fingertip. Specific rules vary greatly by the region. Achi had always been rather clingy with his mother. When she was alive, she had often joined him for ohajiki, origami, and the like. On this particular day, Achi had come home miserable after getting bullied by the neighborhood kids for acting like a wimp. Achi. His dad. He turned to see his father holding 2 cups of shaved ice. Dude, does shaved ice come in cups? Come here for a bit. They sat on the stairs together, eating their sweet frozen confections. You want to get tougher? Daisuke's words were soft and simple. How about you and me get tougher together? Ashi looked up at his father, frowning in confusion. How are we gonna do that? Well, for starters, how about we learn some karate? Karate? Achi's face twisted up unhappily at the idea. He couldn't even imagine himself punching or kicking anyone. It'll be alright, his dad said. I'll go with you, don't you worry. Daisuke flexed one of his scrawny arms. His biceps bulged up the tiniest bit. Not the fighting type. Achi was well aware that his father wasn't much of an athlete. There had been an athletics meet in his grade school. Even now, the memory of Daisuke tripping clumsily during the parent participation relay was burned into Achi's mind. A type of children's event where the parents who have come to watch their children compete are asked to join in with them. Daisuke took part in the tug-of-war only to get tangled up in the rope and dragged over the line. Wow, really? Achi was understandably disheartened by his father's embarrassing display, but after eating the lunch his father had made for him, his spirits quickly returned. Daisuke had made rice balls that were clumsily oversalted, but Achi could tell how hard he worked to prepare them. This feels like a pre-final episode, it really does. I mean, if you're gonna be there... And so the two began training together at the local karate dojo. I do kind of wonder, how often do Japanese people train in martial arts? I feel like it's not very common, just like in the US. Achi put on his white gi and fastened his obi tightly. As he did so, he felt as if his feelings were being anchored in place as well. But this is a good way to get your kid motivated, though. You yourself and your kid at the same time training in the same dojo. I mean, they take all ages for the dojo, so not bad way for motivation. Ichi, ni, san. Achi's gi sleeves made a whooshing sound as he thrust out his fist in time with the sensei's chant. Even simple kata practice made him feel like he was getting stronger, somehow. It will make your arms a bit stronger because of the repetition. His dad, having left Suzune in the care of their neighbors, was working up a sweat alongside him. But he was out of shape, and his technique was shaky. He was soon exhausted, and he went to lean up against the dojo wall. Achi stepped out of the training circle and called out to his father. Dad, are you okay? Yeah, I'm just gotta take a little break. Daisuke sounded like he was on the verge of, he was on the edge of hyperventilating. Verge also would work. Thanks, Dad. Huh? What for? For asking me to come to karate lessons with you. Achi was sure he'd never had dared to go to the dojo alone. Hey, just so long as you're liking it. Now go on, get back to the training. With a deep bow, Achi resumed his kata practice. As they were walking home from the dojo, Achi turned to his father. How come you wanted to get stronger, Dad? He asked. I mean, you're not getting bullied by your friends. Maybe not, but there's other worse stuff happening. Daisuke was quiet for a few moments before answering. His words came out awkward, and embarrassed. I was picked on a lot when I was your age too, Achi. I had a friend who would always come up and bail me out. That was Tatano, I guess. A friend? Yeah, a friend. A distant look came to his father's eyes. He was a real fighter. I always looked up to him. I wanted to be strong, like him. His expression turned lonely. I don't get to see him anymore, though. Why not? Achi asked. Did he die? Wow, really? Really, the small Achi? I mean, kids do be blunt, but still. No, nothing like that. Then, did you guys have a fight? Something like that. Daisuke smiled sadly. Yeah, a fight when his wife died. From that ambush. He stared out into the sky for a while before speaking up again. His name's Tatano. Oh, I didn't realize I was gonna name drop him here. My friend. That's his name. Achi's father increased his pace. Come on, he said. We have to go pick up Shizune. After that, despite Achi's questions, Daisuke would say no more about his old friend. By the time he was almost done with grade school, Achi had grown up fit and strong, almost unrecognizable from his younger self. Perhaps he had the physical knack in him all along. He was chosen as a representative for the boys' karate team, even managing to take second place in a national tournament. Nobody bullied Achi anymore. One time, Daisuke suggested that two of them do some sparring. Oh, and this is where he hurt his dad. Achi may have been a national competitor, but sure, but he was still a grade schooler squaring off against an adult. His father had been training for close to 2 years now as well, and his confidence had grown accordingly. Achi was excited to be able to face off against his old man. But his old man is still a white belt, meanwhile, Achi has moved up to... Is that a black belt? That is mismatched. You're not supposed to... That is mismatched. He would definitely get taken down. Early on in their karate training, Achi's kumite had seemed rather hopeless. He'd been shocked that his out-of-shape father was able to overpower him, but also pleased to get a sense of how strong the man was. This time, Achi thought, he might well lose again, but he was going to go all out. Oh, I see. As they adopted their fighting stances, Daisuke was full of confidence. The instructor gave the signal to begin, and Achi opened with a sharp low kick. And that was enough to make him keel over. Daisuke didn't guard against it. The blow caught him in the thigh. It looked to Achi like he'd allowed himself to take the hit, not fearing the effect of a child's kick. But that was a mistake. Achi proceeded to unleash several more low kicks to the same spot. Bit by bit, Daisuke's face revealed his discomfort. Finally, he yanked his leg away. That was when Achi realized. His father wasn't letting himself get hit on purpose. He was just unable to keep up with the speed of his son's footwork. If that was the case, Achi felt bad about exploiting his dad's weakness. He decided to leave his leg alone. Instead, he aimed a punch at his father's midsection. But that also was probably a mistake. He was shocked by the impact as the blow struck home. He had an attack with a great deal of force. He just thrown a light midsection punch as a check. But as Achi pulled back his fist, Daisuke crumpled to the floor, writhing in pain as he clutched his gut. Achi stared in disbelief at his own hand. At least he didn't die. But yeah. You can't go too far, I suppose. That was the last day that Daisuke went to the dojo. His dad is fully out of shape and out of practice. Your dad's pathetic. Yeah, he's such a loser. Achi was on his way home from practice, and some older students from the dojo had started ribbing on him. What'd you guys just say? These kids were middle schoolers, but Achi wasn't about to back down. He thrust out with a quick punch, stopping it short of one boy's nose. Go on, say that again. I'll kick your ass. The older boys went pale, then took off and ran. But this small victory did nothing to bolster Achi's spirits. His father had looked so small and lonely, heading away after quitting karate. But Achi didn't think there was anything pathetic about that. Sure, maybe by now he was better at karate than his father. But really, what difference did that make? In growing stronger, he'd learned something. Using force to win out over someone else didn't mean anything. Strength alone didn't determine a person's worth. Important lessons with martial arts. Achi loved and respected his father for going to the dojo with him. Beating him in a karate match didn't change the way he felt. But there's a but here. Father didn't feel the same. Wow, that was a pretty long flashback. Achi resurfaced from his memories to hear Stanley talking on the phone. I see. So that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Just talking to Kano just now. Curious, Achi turned to the American. Who are you talking to? What was that about just now? By bring Hitomi in, do you mean you're gonna arrest her? Does it mean you're gonna arrest her? Achi couldn't think of any other reason to take her to the precinct. I'm just going to move her someplace safe. With that, Stanley proceeded to wrap up his call. Guess I'm not going to get much out of this guy, Achi thought. Move her someplace safe, huh? Was he actually serious or just being evasive? Achi couldn't really tell. If they did try to arrest Hitomi though, Achi intended to stop them, one way or another. He needed to protect her all the way to the end. Inwardly, he reaffirmed that the vow he'd made earlier, to keep her safe whatever it took. By now, they could see Endo Electronics up ahead. Achi was about to hurry inside when Stanley stopped him. I'll go in first. You two wait out here. No way, that's my dad we're talking about. Yeah, you don't think it's dangerous to bring Hitomi right to him? Well, alright. We'll wait here for a bit and once we know it's safe, we'll head on in. You cool with that? I'm cool with that. Stanley stepped inside. Achi fussed about impatiently, staring at the entryway. The palm of his clenched fist was sweating. Never before in his life had he wanted to just deck his old man. Hitomi watched him uneasily. Hitomi. Yes? I'm sorry. I really didn't want you to have to see this, but I think you're about to witness the crowning shame in Endo family history. Achi, don't say that, Hitomi said. She squeezed his hand. Really? Hand-holding, uncensored on screen? He found his other fist unclenching. Please, you have to try to talk to your father. Yeah, I know. Oh. Suddenly, there was a loud crash from inside the building. The time for waiting had passed. Let's go. Achi and Hitomi raced inside. Barging into the living quarters without bothering to shed his shoes, he heard his father's voice coming from the workroom. Probably a good idea, you'll need those shoes. Dad! Achi hurried through the workroom door and saw Stanley holding his father pinned across a desk. That is a lot of long words strung together. Let me go! Please, let me go! Daisuke thrashed both of his legs. Stanley, please, let my father go. I want to talk to him. Stanley snorted dismissively, but did as he was asked. Daisuke stood up, rubbing at a sore wrist. Dad, please, you have to tell me. Where's Maria? Maria? What are you talking about? Daisuke wouldn't meet his eyes. Don't play dumb with me. Achi pointed at Hitomi. You know who this is, don't you? Hitomi Osawa, the girl you've been after. Maria's her sister. But Daisuke remained silent. You're gonna pretend you didn't call the hospital? Nothing about maybe being able to get your hands on a heart? I mean, seriously? It's all so simple. Even I got it. Even I can tell what's been going on. You've been watching me and Hitomi through the surveillance cameras. And you were telling that guy with the cane where we were. The blood began to drain from his father's face. Don't you go quiet on me. If I'm wrong, then go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me the truth. What is this? Daisuke's arm shot out suddenly, knocking an external hard drive from his desk onto the floor. Ah, that is a chunky hard drive. It was over and done before Stanley could stop him. Stanley hunched down and picked up the shattered drive. Shattered it is not. I'm pretty sure even hard drives from 2008 could handle that kind of shock. I'm guessing there was important data on here. Footage from the cameras, maybe? I have no idea what you're talking about. Daisuke spat. Can't do this to an innocent person, Dad, Achi shouted, grabbing his father by the collar. There was a sound of footsteps from out in the shop. Someone was quickly getting closer. That's probably Kano and Kanan. Stanley grabbed Hitomi by the hand and pulled her back against the wall. Achi stiffened as he turned his gaze to the door. Yes? Keep out! Alright, we're gonna be bouncing back between Kano and Achi over here, because it seems like that's how this is gonna go down. Osawa and Minorikawa have nothing to do with this. Wait, let me jump. Can I jump? Oh, the jump is right here. Jump right here. Right. Okay. Good advice. Older man, sharpening throwers. Had to let hope the young man would talk him down. Jumping time. No? Wait, what do you mean no? Wait, what do you mean no? Huh? Wait, what? This isn't the place? Wait. Do we need to get other people here? I'm confused. If this is not where the jump happens, Maria's got an ending. So I guess let's check out Minorikawa. See what's going on this side. Maybe everyone's gonna be over here? Lies. Okay. Alright, let's see. The TV news continued to report on how Mamoru Tanaka had been killed in the minivan explosion. What does this mean? Oh, that was Chiaki. Chiaki blinked in confusion. I mean, Hana told us herself that the van explosion was her father committing suicide. Didn't she? The only explanation I can think of, Minorikawa replied, is that Hana was lying. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Hana was trying to get the loan sharks off their trail. However, she didn't realize it would backfire on her. I see. I don't think I would have realized either, but okay. He scratched his head as he considered the situation. But why? Chiaki said. Ozu let out a snort. Well, it would seem Mr. Toyama had her lie in order to deceive us. What an upstanding individual, using his own daughter to buy himself some time. Minakawa wanted to yell at the guy, but he managed to hold his tongue. Hey GNG, welcome. We are in a different chapter now. Quick recap, since I guess you can't rewind in the stream these days. Kanan and Kano are together. They're going to where Achi's place is. And Achi is with his dad and Stanley. And he told me at his place trying to talk things out. And so that's happening. And before this chapter ended, all four of these guys over here right now found out that Toyama did not actually die. And they didn't realize that. So it was a good thing we released the name. And apparently we finished Maria's route. Maria's route is actually done. We cannot choose her anymore. We don't know where Maria went off to. Supposedly Maria went over to Endo Electronics, which is where Achi was heading, or is now. So I thought I could jump from Kano to Achi because there was a jump option there, but for some reason I could not jump. So I'm here with Minakawa trying to figure out what to do. But it seems like things are coming to an end here. Maybe this might not be the last chapter, but this feels very much like the next to the last chapter at the very least. The important thing was that Toyama was still alive. And if he was still alive, then there was still a way to save Heaven Publishing. They'd get the current issue out on time, with a big scoop waiting in the wings of the issue for the issue after that. From there on out, it should be smooth sailing. Well, no matter, Ozu said. Seeing as Mr. Toyama isn't dead after all, we'll just have to wait here for him. He sat back down on the sofa. But Sagawa leaned threateningly towards Chiaki. Hey, he snarled. You sure you don't know where the guy's hiding out? I don't, Chiaki shot back. I think all of them were all confused, but this guy's just using intimidation tactics now. And even if I did, I'd never tell you. We can continue being a gossip piece of shit. Well, the thing is, how else do you pay the bills? That's how we pay the bills. He leaned in even closer just as he stood on her tiptoes, in defiance, and their foreheads collided with a dull thud. Oh no. This is where I met your mother kind of situation. Both reeled back, clutching their heads in their hands. Just calm down, Chiaki, Minakawa said as he began rooting through Toyama's desk. Give him the chair! What chair? For now, I'm going to have to look for clues to where Toyama might have gone. You just focus on working on your article. Oh, Ozu raised an eyebrow. Getting all cooperative all of a sudden, I see. I want to change up the plan for the next month's issue, and I can't do that without the editor-in-chief's approval. What Minakawa was actually looking for, however, was a back issue of 4-Star General Gossip. He was pretty sure that the article on Osawa had been printed in the magazine's inaugural issue. If he could find that scandalous piece that the scientist had asked for, he'd also be able to get his big lead about the power balance of the world being at stake. And if he could get that, not only would next month's issue be a sure thing, it was a good bet that sales figures would go through the roof. He found a file folder full of early material and quickly flipped through it. It didn't take him long to find the article. Floundering Okoshi Pharmaceutical arranges marriage of political convenience. The large headline practically jumped off the page. Minakawa read over the story. The basic gist of it was this. The corporate director of Okoshi Pharmaceutical had sacrificed his daughter in order to keep a researcher named Kenji Osawa on board. But why? The daughter, however, had previously been dating another man, Tanaka. That must be what Osawa wanted him to look into, the guy his wife had been dating before they were married. It should be easy enough to just ask whoever had written the article. Minorikawa's gaze jumped to the end of the piece, looking for the writing credit. The piece had been written by Toyama himself. "Hey, ain't you done yet?" Sagawa yelled. No, it wasn't him. He wasn't working for Toyama at the time. Yeah. Tell us where Toyama is already. Yeah, Minorikawa thought. We're going to need to do something about these guys. I'm still looking into it, he said. Just hold on. He made a show of opening and closing various desk drawers. The drawers themselves were packed with jumbled mess of electrical and gas bills, noodle house delivery menus, and the like. Look faster, Sagawa growled. For now, Minorikawa decided he'd better butter this guy up. Butter him up. Maybe he could mollify this guy by having some noodles delivered for dinner. Nah, we don't want him to stay. Just butter him up for now. For now, Minorikawa decided he'd better butter this guy up. Say, you look like a pretty tough guy. You work out? Sagawa grinned, thrusting his fist out in an empathetic air punch. I used to be a boxer. That explains some things. Back in his boxing days, Sagawa was so tough people called him the dogfighter of Shibuya. One day, however, he was walking along and he happened to step onto a strange panel that made him fall into a state of confusion and go on a rampage. I think this might be a game reference, but I do not know what game reference this is. He was quickly arrested and his boxing license revoked. The mysterious panels Sagawa stepped on. They say there are also panels shaped like feet and even panels shaped like rice balls. Where? What is this a reference of? It's got to be some old game that I don't know about. But, let's see. Who else was a Yakuza boxer that we know of? If you know your Yakuza 0 lore, then you probably know the answer to this. I could drop a guy like you in one punch. Oh-ho. I guess there aren't many folks who can give you a good fight then. Sagawa dropped into a fighting pose and threw a few quick jabs. Well, matter of fact, I'm unbeatable in a street fight. They call me the crazy tiger of Shibuya. Shibuya, huh? You familiar with the SOS then? Sagawa's face twisted into a sneer. What, those guys? I mean, I've heard they're pretty tough too. Only one of them who'd be able to give me a fight would probably be that Achiendo. Except as I hear it, he left the gang. Aha, really now? Heard anything else interesting? Sounds like nowadays are being run by some guy named Susumu. The name Susumu rang a bell. Those two young punks had been arguing after the minivan explosion had mentioned him. Seems like SOS is in a pretty rough state since Achi left though, Sagawa added. Minorikawa didn't miss a beat. News story right here, make it into content. What do you mean rough state? Back in the day, they were all goody two-shoes, never shake folks down or steal or any of that stuff. Guess their founder Achi hated that sort of thing. But now he's out, a lot of rough and tumble hot-blooded types have been signing up with him. Smart move is not to get involved with SOS nowadays, really. Hard to find a scarier bunch around here, when there's a lot of them together. And their main hangout, what's that? That's Inferno, yeah? Yeah, over in Uraharajuku. Uraharajuku. Wait, Uraharajuku? How do you say this? Harajuku? Uraharajuku. The multiple Ra's throw me off. Also, I don't think I know where Uraharajuku is. I feel like I've passed by back streets of Harajuku before. Known as Urahara for short, the area east of the Japan Rail Harajuku Station, where Takashidori meets Meijidori. Oh, I have been there before. There are many small clothing and accessory stores here, set up in renovated houses. Most of these shops are on the cutting edge of youth fashion, offering quirky and unique means of personal expression. Okay. Man, you've been listening out on the streets. What gives? Uraharajuku, huh? Minorikawa smiled to himself. Inferno's location had practically fallen into his lap. Suddenly, Sagawa's eyes went wide. Aha! So that's where Toyama is. Wait, nah, no way. coward like him would go to a no way a coward like him would go to a place like that. Chiaki looked up from her keyboard. Look, can you please shut up? Feisty. No, you shut up. That's my phone. Minorikawa pulled his cell phone out of his pocket. Or just so. Oh no, it's Toyama! It's actually Toyama! What's his first name? I don't know that kanji, I can't read his first name. It was Toyama's name on the incoming call screen. Minorikawa's heart skipped a beat. Toyama, where are you? He blurted out as he picked up. Chiaki, Ozu, and Sagawa turned to look at him as one. Well, what were you thinking faking your death like that? Even if we could fill those pages and postpone repayment, all it would do is delay the inevitable. I'd still be up in my ears in debt. So I thought if I made it look like I was dead... Minorikawa let out an exasperated sigh. Well, everyone knows you're still alive. Well, everyone already knows you're still alive, so your little attempt at subterfuge didn't even wind up buying you time. What? Toyama's hysterical squeak was painful to hear. Alright, listen up, Minorikawa said. If it's the debt you're worried about, you'll be able to pay that back real soon. What do you mean? I've landed a huge scoop. You could do a print run of 1 million copies and still sell out if we run it as an article. Toyama perked right up. Yeah, he does things more, definitely. Wait, you really mean it? I'll give you all the details. Just get your butt back here. But aren't those loan sharks there at the office right now? Fine, then I'll come to you. Tell me where you are. The two thugs crowded nearer, a predatory gleam in their eyes, especially the guy to the right side. The one I'm covering. And Minorikawa had a flash of inspiration. Got it, he said quickly before Toyama could respond. Miyashita Park. I'm on my way now. Don't go anywhere. Ozu and Sagawa grinned at one another, then bolted out the door. Is that actually misdirection? Or is that the truth? I'm not sure right now. Minorikawa said as the footsteps receded. Those guys took the bait. I sent them to Miyashita Park. He allowed himself a cocksure grin. Right then. So where are you really, Toyama? You imbecile! I am at Miyashita Park! What? Oh, that's hilarious. Unintentionally sent him to the right place. Well, leave. Minorikawa fought the urge to pull his hair out. What the hell are you doing someplace like that? Why the hell did you tell them Miyashita Park? I thought it would be a clever ruse. Well, it wasn't. This is no time to be fighting. Chiaki butted in. Yeah, you're right. Minorikawa scowled. Anyway, Toyama, those guys are headed your way now. We need to get you out of there and go someplace we can talk. I can meet you there. Right, okay. They headed someplace safe and public where they could speak freely. Someplace where the staff wouldn't be overly nosy. But where? The Minorikawa thought. The familiar cafe by the station was a natural choice. Yeah, we can go back there. Recalling the noodle house from the menu he'd seen earlier, he opted for that. Probably the noodle house? Nothing suitable came to mind. He's never been to the noodle house, but he has been to the cafe, and the cafe is bumping. And I think we could give the poor maid another visit. Let's go to the cafe. The familiar cafe by the station was a natural choice. He quickly described the location. Okay, Toyama said, Cafe La Trek, got it. I'll see you there. He hung up and Minorikawa quickly gathered his belongings. Chiaki, how's that copy coming along? Well, almost done? Just a little more, I think. Alright, I'll bring your computer and come with me. I'll read over what you got so far. Minorikawa waited as Chiaki got ready to head to the cafe. As the two were headed out of the office, however, Someone else opened the door. Oh, who is it? You got 14 minutes and 57 seconds to send to press. The writer submits to the editor. The editor submits to the designer. This is the next step in the whole handoff process. Naturally, being late for this causes quite a lot of trouble. 56, 55. Who are you? Who is this guy? I don't think we've seen this guy before. A slender man with a gaudy necktie entered the room and sat down on the nearest desk, staring fixedly at his pocket watch. Minorikawa narrowed his eyes dubiously. Who the hell are you? Always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. That's just common decency. The man gave no indication he'd even heard Minorikawa's question. I suppose I can wait here, he continued, just for another 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Mr. Mino, is this guy talking about our submission? Chiaki stared doubtfully at the newcomer. Hey you, Minorikawa asked. Are you from the printer? But the man did not reply. Don't ignore me. Are you from the printer? Still the man remained silent. Minorikawa was furious. Look, cut the crap, he roared. In response, the man quietly reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his business card. What does it say? My name is not Hey You. He handed the card to Minorikawa. It read, Cho Nippon Printing Company Limited, Ltd. Sales Department, Division 1. Koichiro Katayama. Oh, that's how you read that. Koichiro? Koichiro. Koichiro. Kata? Wait. So it's not the loan sharks we have to worry about, it's this guy? I'm Koichiro Katayama, newly assigned to Heaven Publishing. Newly assigned? A pleasure to meet you. My predecessor is in the hospital due to a car accident. Saicho Usui, 39 years old, single, why do we need to know that? A long-time veteran of Cho Nippon Printing. Rather timid by nature, the strain of dealing with publishers makes him sick to his stomach. At around 1:10 p.m. earlier today, while driving to meet with one of his clients, he had to swerve to avoid a young man and woman who darted into the street. Oh, that must have been Achian, he told me. He crashed into the car next to him and ended up at the hospital. Not our problem. Yeah, I guess that did happen. He should make a complete recovery in about 2 months. Well, what are you doing here, Katayama? Minorikawa asked. I thought we had until 8 o'clock to complete proofreading. 8 o'clock? Surely you must be joking. Our company's proofing deadline is 5:30. Katayama stared fixedly at Minorikawa. Now that has to be a joke. I heard from the editor-in-chief that it was 8 o'clock. I take that to mean then that you don't have any copy for us? It's not that we don't have it, Minorikawa said. It's just not finished yet. Just hold on until 8. Katayama raised an eyebrow. No. Publisher and printer need to work in concert. Perhaps my predecessor was the sort to delay the proofing deadline owing to your circumstances here. But now I'm in charge and I do not make exceptions. The proofing deadline is 5:30 sharp, and I intend to keep it that way. And while we've been having this discussion, you're down to 12 minutes and 32 seconds. Katayama held out his pocket watch as if to emphasize the point. That's ridiculous, Minorikawa exclaimed. Just who the hell do you think you are? You guys are going to be printing a paper that I wrote. Do you even know how lucky that makes you? So just wait, okay? Just give us until 8 o'clock. 3 more days until we're done. Just give us until we're done. Until you're done? And when might that be, I wonder? Katayama's tone was dubious. I said until we're done, Minokawa snapped. And I mean till we're done. Katayama thought for a moment and then nodded. Very well. Then I shall wait until you're done. Really? Katayama gave another slight nod. You've got 10 minutes and 46 seconds left. Hey! As soon as I leave here, that's when you'll be done, you see? Katayama's face was a mask of cool nonchalance. You son of a bitch! Don't get all high and mighty just because you work for a printer. High and mighty? I'd say it's the people on the publishing side of things that act high and mighty. Whatever high-minded claims you might make, without us, you'd have nothing to put on the store shelves. Forgetting that and blithely ignoring your proofing deadline makes for more work on our end. Just what are you getting at, I wonder? Now it's 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Minokawa ground his teeth so hard he could hear it. His usual tactics were useless here. Katayama's was simply too unflappable to be browbeaten. If he backed down now, though, it was game over. 10 minutes, 7 seconds remaining. Realizing there's little point, but I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. That's just common decency. Katayama's pet phrase. Thus far, he has said common decency 3 times in this story. I thought it was twice. Always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of time. I realize there's little point. I'll wait until the designated time. There was one more. Do you know where it was? No, I do not. When was it? Katayama's eyes were once again locked on his phone watch. Pocket watch. It was no use. Minokawa couldn't find a way to talk this guy around. Chiaki held her hand up. May I say something? Isn't it also common decency not to break a promise once it's been made? If you're referring to the 8 o'clock deadline, I was not the one who promised that. Maybe not, but I believe your predecessor's responsibilities become your responsibilities. Oh, checkmate! Katayama crossed his arms and gave her a bemused look. What's your name, miss? Chiaki, she said bashfully. Chiaki Iso. The printer's expressions brightened visibly. Well, they don't know about the lockdown and the biohazard, so that's I guess maybe he has an inkling, but yeah, printing comes first. Good. That timid hesitation of yours is just splendid. You have none of the arrogance so typical among publishers. Was it? I don't know. I forgot already. Huh? Chiaki was taken rather aback. In deference to your polite demeanor, I shall wait until 7 o'clock. That is the latest I can possibly allow. Alright, Minokawa shouted, practically in Katayama's face. We agree to those terms. No, I wasn't talking to... No, I wasn't talking to... But we got terms of our own! Katayama reeled ever so slightly. I'm not certain you're in any position to set terms here. Just shut up and listen. From here on out, you're coming with us. What? Why? We're going to finish up our copy on site, then burn the data onto CD and hand it over to you there. That's why. Katayama let out a sigh of resignation. Resignation? Oh, very well. I suppose I'd simply be waiting here anyway. Minokawa pumped his fist in victory. Alright, Chiaki. Go ahead and copy the DTP data we've got so far onto your computer. Sure thing, Mr. Mino. Chiaki quickly set about copying the data from the editing department's desktop. I'm having trouble reading that for some reason. Okay, done. Then let's go. With the others in tow, Minokawa headed to the cafe where Toyama would be waiting. Well, hi again. We're almost here. They reached Cafe LULdog without incident, and Minokawa promptly spotted the publisher. Over here, Toyama hissed, eyeing his surroundings with obvious unease. Hana sat by his side, suddenly sipping on some juice. The waitress came over as Minorikawa joined them. "May I take your order?" she asked. "Water." "Just water, sir?" "Fine, make it a double." Oh, jeez. And this guy is over here. I don't know them, but it's also like too many people to the table. Exasperated, the waitress headed back to the kitchen. Toyama looked over at Katayama. "Who's this guy?" "I'm Koichi Katayama from Cho Nippon Printing." Katayama presented his business card. Toyama turned to Minorikawa with a quizzical look. "What's someone from the printer doing with you?" "I'll explain later." "There's no time for that right now," Minorikawa replied. "First, I need you to answer some questions. Does the name Kenji Osawa ring any bells?" "Osawa?" Toyama closed his eyes in thought. He heads up a laboratory at Okoshi Pharmaceutical. You ran a piece on him in the first ever issue of 4-Star General Gossip. Toyama's face lit up with recognition. "Ah, yes, that political marriage piece. Yeah, that one. Do you remember the details of that article?" "Of course. Who do you think I am?" Toyama puffed himself up proudly. "I used to be a local news copy editor for the Central Times. I've got the details for all the stuff I've ever covered here in my head." "In that case, do you know who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married?" Toyama blinked his eyes vacantly. "Hey, what's the matter?" Minorikawa asked. This is a pretty tough pop quiz you're giving me." "Surprise, kids! It's time for a science quiz. What colorless, odorless gas, lighter than air, used for consumer municipal gas applications, also known as marsh gas or swamp gas?" "Helium, ethylene, propane, methane." Tune in next time for the answer. Guys, do you know? Do you know this one? I'm gonna say methane for this one. Let's see if we get it right. Cut the crap, man. You just said you have all the details inside your head. Oh, they're in there all right. They're just not coming out. Minorikawa slumped. "Mr. Toyama, please. Whether or not you'll be able to pay off your debts depends on your memory here." Hearing this, Hana cast a cold glare up at her father. "All right." Hold up. There we go. "I can remember, or at least I can try." Toyama folded his arms and hummed to himself, his gaze turned inward. So I feel like it was a really common name. "Sato!" Chiaki chirped. "Yamada! Was it either of those? They're pretty common names." But Toyama shook his head. Minorikawa was offered a guess of his own. "Suzuki, Takahashi, Endo, Tanaka!" "Tanaka." No, not Tanaka. It was something else. What do you mean it was Tanaka? Just then, the television inside the cafe switched over the news report on the Shibuya explosion. "The remains of the individual discovered within the minivan itself, who has since been identified as pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka." Mamoru Tanaka? Toyama turned around to look at the TV. "I did say Tanaka. What do you mean it wasn't right?" An image of the victim's face appeared on the screen. "Bleh?" The publisher blurted, nearly falling out of his seat. "That's it! It was him! Right there! Mamoru Tanaka! That's what I said! Tanaka!" Toyama pointed excitedly at the TV screen. "That's who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married! Mamoru Tanaka!" Minorikawa felt himself getting goosebumps. The victim of the terrorist bombing in Shibuya was also linked to the researcher who was key to the terrorist viral scare. His reporter's hunch was now a certainty. Right now, Shibuya was at the center of some massive conspiracy. This went far beyond even a major scoop. "Mr. Toyama, we need to make sure that next month's issue hits shelves." Minorikawa called up Kenji Osawa to let him know the results of his little investigation. Oh no, we gotta bring Kenji Osawa next. The man didn't seem terribly surprised. Probably he had his suspicions all along. Osawa told him that there was something he needed to do before he was ready to give details on the big scoop, but he would call back later. In the meantime, Minorikawa knew he'd have his hands full getting the current issue of the gossip wrapped up for the 7 o'clock deadline. He slapped his hands down on the table. Alright, emergency editing meeting right here, he announced. With a daughter in tow? We need to get a lead on in the Shibuya terrorist bombing into the next issue. The article about the twins winning the beauty contest that can be dropped for that. We'll use the info from Kenji Osawa as a basis for our big scoop in the issue after that. Mr. Toyama, any problems with that? No, that should be fine. But what about the remaining pages for the next month's issue? Minorikawa opened the file on his computer. The layout built in the DTP came up on the monitor. The report on the Burning Hammer sales demo. The surveillance camera opinion piece. The interview with Owarai. Those 3 were finished, the copy already incorporated into the layout. Pretty good layout, actually. Once Chiaki Street interview piece was loaded in, that one could be checked off as well. Chiaki, how's your copy coming along? I'm sorry, I just need a little bit longer. The writing seemed to still be giving her a fair bit of trouble. The article on SOS was still just a placeholder in the layout, and Minorikawa hadn't even gotten any material for that, putting it even further behind than Chiaki Street interviews. Still, he'd at least learned where Shibuya's legendary street gang made their hangout. He'd just had to take the risk of dropping in on them unannounced to ambush them with some interview questions. And then there was a lead-in for Shibuya bombing. That wasn't even in the layout yet. It was a completely blank slate. Against all odds, they were going to need to put that article together from nothing with just an hour and change. It was an impossible amount of work for just him and Chiaki to do. Well. And how are things coming along? Oh wait, wrong voice. Katayama rose and came closer, trying to peer at the monitor. Minorikawa hurried over to cover the screen. Don't look. If the printer rep saw all the blank pages, he might decide to stop waiting. Would you mind telling me roughly what % of the total you have completed thus far? What %? Come off it, man. We're at 100%. If you're at 100% done, that implies you're all finished. Could I please have the data then? No. I'm saying our willpower is at 100%. I'm not even going to pretend I understand what you mean by that. Shaking his head, Katayama sat back down in his chair. Minorikawa, Toyama asked. His expression uneasy. So, I know I asked before, but why is someone from the printer here again? Katayama promptly chimed in. The long and short of it is that your proofing deadline has been changed to 7 o'clock, he said. What? But that's impossible! Who's doing the lead-in for the Shibuya bombing? Toyama eyed Minorikawa and then Chiaki. Both stared back non-committedly. Then it really is impossible. We'll never meet that deadline. We don't have enough people. No, we do have enough. He manages to make almost me feel sorry for the printer guy. Nah, the printer guy is merciless. What are you talking about? Minorikawa thrust out his finger. You do some legwork. Mr. Toyama, you're going to write that one and handle the layout. What? Heaven Publishing is your company. Won't you step up in order to protect it? Toyama hung his head. Even if I headed into the scene right now, I'm sure the other outlets have already gotten their coverage. What coverage? They don't know anything. I wouldn't be able to find anything new to write about. Oh wow, FMV? In front of the kid. You know it's serious when they get the movie out. And so you're just gonna give up? A moment later, Toyama was on the floor, Minorikawa glaring down at him. You've always said you wanted to tell the world about the things the mass media can't or won't write about. So what the hell difference does it make if they've already gotten the sound bites they're after? Minorikawa's voice was raw with emotion. Don't you dare give up. Not that easily. Get your ass out there. Find something that only you can write about. Minurikawa. Toyama began to object, then glanced over at Hana. There was an imploring look in her eyes as well. Oh, he's fisting up. I get what you're saying, Toyama grumbled. But still, you're expecting a lot. But then, despite his words, he flashed a broad grin. Yeah, Minurikawa let out a quiet chuckle. It's got you all fired up. Yeah, I'm fired up alright. Toyama's face shone with a resolve Minurikawa hadn't seen in a long time. There we go. That's the Toyama I know. You know, I'm really sorry. Now I see the huge burden I put on you. But damn it, it's gonna be alright. Getting to his feet, Toyama took his daughter by the hand and strode boldly out of the cafe, looking like a changed man. Really, you're gonna take your daughter with you? Minurikawa watched him go, glad the dithering was over. Even if Toyama were still in his prime, he'd be cutting it close to do that article in an hour. But he would pull through somehow. When it came to taking care of Hana, the man would rise to the occasion again and again. Father and daughter disappeared into the crowd, hand in hand. Let's hope they don't run into the loan sharks. Minurikawa shook himself out of his reverie. All right, he cried. Despite the clear blue sky, an unexpected gust of wind blew across his cheek. Come on, guys, we gotta get going too. Things might look grim, but he wasn't going to give up until the bitter end. It was time to head to the SOS hangout, Inferno. The three ran long and hard after leaving the cafe. Wait, you brought the printer with you to Inferno? What? If the proofing deadline was 7 o'clock, then they need to finish up with SOS by 6:30 at the latest. The gang's hangout was in Harajuku. Running all the way there on foot was going to eat into too much of their time. And there's a gridlock! But traffic was at a near standstill for some reason, and there wasn't a taxi in sight. How long do you plan on running like this? Katayama called out, panting. Just take a look at the road. With this traffic, there's no point in hailing a cab. Even Minurikawa was feeling the time pressure now. We're just gonna have to keep running until the road's clear. What? Katayama wailed. Stop your whining. Just keep quiet and stick with me. He'd finally gotten Toyama to find his willpower again. Next month's issue would come out on time, and no way was some printer guy going to mess that up now. Oh my gosh, you're even going upstairs. That's a lot of effort right there. But the traffic showed no signs of abating. Catching a cab wasn't going to be an option. Fighting an ever louder echo of despair, Minurikawa kept up his desperate headlong rush. To rush into a situation recklessly or heedlessly, not quite the same as being a daredevil. Still, there were limits to how far the mind could push the body before exhaustion set in. Oh yeah, I know that feeling. My arms are finally starting to recover. And I was in pain after that session. Eek! That was a Chiaki. She tripped. Ouch. Ouch. Oh, ow, ow, ow. Oh, she fell down the stairs hard. Oh, wow, that's actually blood. As they were running across a pedestrian overpass, Chiaki slipped and took a nasty fall. She skinned her knee hard enough to draw blood. Hey you! Minurikawa snapped at Katayama. Don't just stand there! Help the poor girl already. Katayama scurried over to Chiaki. I'm sorry, Mr. Mino. Chiaki's voice bubbled with suppressed tears. Maybe it was cruel to make her run with her computer all the way to Harajuku. But the copy for her interview still needed to be looked over. They couldn't just leave her here. Minurikawa hesitated, undecided. Even at a full run, they wouldn't make it in time. And with traffic the way it was, there was nothing they could do. You now have... Katayama consulted his pocket watch. Exactly 1 hour remaining. Damn it! Minurikawa raged. What do we do? Relentlessly, the clock ticked on. This can be a bad end, right? Whoa! To be continued! There's actually one chapter left. I mean, it does feel like next to the last chapter. There is one chapter left. Maybe. I mean, if this goes up to 7, sure. Alright then. Osawa! I think we gotta talk to you to move everyone else's route, so let's go with that. The rain won't let up. The sound is growing louder and louder inside my head. It is a sound of regret, spattering against my heart. My emotions surge like a terrible storm within me. Another 10 chapters later. I don't think it's that long, but it is a lot longer than I expected, that's for sure. But it's a fun ride, so I don't regret it. I never wished for this. I never expected my heart to be dragged so far beyond my control. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. The words stormed through Osawa's mind in a relentless cacophony. He'd called up images of the bodies from the human testing trials on his computer monitor. He couldn't help but imagine his daughter in the same gruesome state. In just a few more hours, Maria would begin hemorrhaging blood and die just like the people in these pictures had. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. He couldn't shake the words, or the reality from his mind. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Osawa began pounding his fist fiercely on the desktop. Sir, what are you doing? Kajiwa tried to intervene, but he kept on pounding away. He's losing it. When he finally seized, the pain of the repeated impacts lingered in his hands. My research was never about any sincere desire to help people, and now I'm paying the price for that. The one time it finally matters, I can't even save my own daughter. Mr. Osawa. Kajiwara set a hand on his shoulder. You can always blame yourself later, but for now, think again, good and hard. Is there really no other way to save Maria? Nothing else we could try? Osawa shook his head. The only means we had left was using Tanaka's password to unlock the doors. Oh, you know the idea that just went through my mind, I'm just gonna call it right now, is he goes to Endo Electronics. He goes to Endo Electronics, have Endo help with the unlocking. Maybe that's all it was. Why would he go there? How would he know to go there? Oh, how would he know to go there? And now Tanaka is dead. There's no other way. Is there a possibility that Mr. Tanaka told someone else his password? This was something Osawa hadn't considered. Was there anyone Tanaka might have shared his password with? Only one person came to mind. Well, yes. There may be someone. You're referring to I, sir. Kajiwara cast his eyes down. You figured that out, then? Yes. Back during the commotion over that listening device. A necktie clip isn't typically the sort of present one gives to one's husband's co-worker. And yet, although some might consider it somewhat inappropriate, Mr. Tanaka was wearing it as if it were a matter of course, which implies something about their relationship. He knows that much. He can deduce that much. He is a detective. Kajiwara's voice trailed off. He coughed apologetically and tried again. I realize it's an awkward situation, sir, but please check with your wife. Even if I does happen to know the password, that does us no good if Maria gets quarantined someplace we can't reach her. I understand, Mr. Osawa. I'll bring Maria to you then. I'll do everything in my power to make that happen. Bananas yet again. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to use for the next thumbnail. We started with bananas for the game. We're going to end with bananas for the game. The detective had produced a bunch of bananas from his pocket. How did you fit that in your pocket? Where did you get those from? These are all left over. You're more than welcome to them, sir. Despite his gentle smile, the rest of his face was firm with resolve. You said you didn't care whether other people understood you, didn't you, Mr. Osawa? Osawa nodded guardedly. At the risk of being presumptuous, sir. I understand you, Kajiwara said. Do you now? I used to be quite the workaholic myself. You were just like me, innocent and awkward. On another occasion, Kajiwara was shocked to run into a man who looked just like him. The fellow was a stylist at a hair salon Kajiwara visits on occasion. He let out a gasp of surprise of his own upon seeing the detective. Kajiwara felt a peculiar connection and was expecting to go to the salon regularly. But when the stylist asked what he did for a living, and Kajiwara answered honestly that he was a detective, the other man's face went pale, and he bolted out of the building. Kajiwara never saw the man again after that. Who is that? Who was that? Calling yourself innocent, huh? How modest of you. Osawa let out a sardonic chuckle, and after a moment Kajiwara joined in. The next time I see you, Mr. Osawa, I'll have Maria with me. The detective gave a slight bow, then left the study and a look of determination on his face. So that was Kajiwara at Endo Electronics? Somehow? Osawa watched him go with admiration. No matter what trouble arose, that man always looked for something he could do. He really was a fellow who knew how to hang tough. Compared to that, I'm just... Osawa couldn't even articulate his own self-disgust. And asking Ai about the password would also mean inquiring into her relationship with Tanaka. Well, I mean, she kind of screamed earlier after his death, so I don't think that's much of a secret anymore. The prospect was daunting. Venturing into the emotional territory of another person was his weakest suit. He left his study, but somehow found himself making his way to Maria's room, not Ai's. He realized that he hadn't been into his daughter's room ever since a certain rainy day years before. I have no idea what she accused Tanaka. That's a good question. Now he stepped quietly inside and saw Maria's world laid out before him. A small photo was set atop her neat and tidy desk. It was a close-up of someone's hands doing a cat's cradle. Whose hands were they? From the skin tone, they didn't appear to be Maria's. Several more photographs were pinned to a corkboard that hung on the wall. There were snapshots of people and townscapes from the Middle East. One glance at them, and Osawa felt like he was back there for a moment. The images weren't necessarily aesthetically pleasing, but they all looked like they'd been taken by a professional. Probably because it was. When he spotted the last photo on the corkboard, however, he was certain that Maria had taken them all. Oh, that's a nice look on him. The last picture was of Osawa himself. He was facing the camera, holding some luggage and flashing an awkward smile. It was a comical, affectionate image. Oh wow, we got some really fancy cameras here. It seems like we have a Nikon stand-in to the left. And maybe, I want to say... one of them's probably an Olympus? No, I don't know that much. Definitely some old-timey film cameras that I wish I had in my collection. Dang it! No, this went beyond a mere hobby. Did she perhaps aspire to be a professional photographer one day? She certainly had the aptitude for it from the looks of things. Maria, a photographer. As he mulled the idea over, Osawa felt his chest tighten. Right now, it looked like Maria's hopes and dreams were about to be snuffed out. Her future consisted of bleeding to death a few short hours from now. Osawa stared vacantly out the window. The view from Maria's room remained unchanged from so long ago. Again, that rainy day crept back into his mind, as vivid as the present. Yeah, amateurs can be very passionate. I would know. I would know. Especially when I go on vacation to Japan, I take like 1,000 pictures a week. No joke. Minimum 1,000 pictures per week at random stuff, at random anything. These days I haven't taken a whole lot of pictures. There's just nothing interesting, to be honest. But once in a while, kind of want to take the camera out. It needs to be used anyway. That's what it's for. On that day, Osawa was dealing with some pressing business from work. He ensconced himself in his study, wrestling with some paperwork. Then Hitomi barged in, looking distraught. Maria's gone. Sensing that Hitomi was legitimately alarmed, Osawa hurried to Maria's room. He found the letter she'd left atop her writing desk. Dad, you only care about Hitomi. You're always working and never do anything with me, so I'm running away. And then he slapped her when she got back. A few hours earlier, he'd canceled their weekend trip to the amusement park. He just wasn't going to be able to get his work done in time. Hitomi had resigned herself readily enough, but Maria just couldn't accept it. She had been looking forward to it for so long, she railed at him. How many times now had he broken one of his promises to her? Hitomi understands why he can't go. So why can't you do the same? The cold rebuke had ended her complaining, but it was clear she didn't accept the situation. Now, Hitomi helped him look around, but they found nothing missing from Maria's room. Despite her assertion that she was running away then, it seemed like there was no point in being overly concerned. Maybe she's at the park she always goes to. Hitomi looked worried. The park was roughly a 25-minute walk from the house. It would only take about an hour for Osawa to get there, to go get her and bring her home. But an hour was more than he could afford to spare right now. Oh my gosh. Dad, I think she's waiting for you to go after her. Osawa didn't need Hitomi to tell him that, so why didn't you? Well, we know why he didn't, but... Well, he knew it well enough. That was what galled him so much about the situation. Why did she have to pull something like this precisely when his work was at its busiest? It doesn't wait. He'd done everything he could as a father since his wife had passed away. Why couldn't his daughter see that? It's alright. Your sister will come back. The rain was coming down pretty hard outside the window. She might come back, but she still wants you to go after her. Do you think she brought an umbrella? Hitomi asked anxiously. I don't know. But with a rain like this, she'll come back home soon enough. He spoke the words for himself as much as for Hitomi. Then he headed back to his study and got back to work. Yeah, he should have gone out. But several hours went by and still Maria did not return. The rain had gotten even more intense to the point where Osawa could hear it in his study. He was so concerned about his missing girl that he couldn't focus on his work, but he stubbornly refused to give in and go search for her. Several more hours passed. At last, Maria appeared at the front door, soaking wet. Osawa met her silently in the entryway. Wet strands of hair clung to the girl's forehead as she looked up at her father with a bitter glare. You don't care what happens to me, do you? Immediately, Osawa smacked her across the cheek with the flat of his hand. It was the first time in his life he'd ever struck anyone. He hadn't known such a violent impulse could exist inside him. Maria stood there, her hand pressed to her cheek. Tears welled up in her eyes. She began to tremble. On her lip was a small bead of blood. A flood of guilt and regret rose up inside Osawa, as if he just shattered some intricate piece of glasswork. How could I do such a thing? He clenched his shameful hand into a fist. And in that moment, he was afraid of Maria. Afraid that his daughter could bring such raw emotion out of him and make him do something so thoughtless. But even more, he was afraid of how stunted he was as a human being. Was someone like him really fit to be a parent? What kind of future could Maria and Hitomi hope for with a father like him? That was why he'd married Ai, as Makino had proposed. That was why he'd married Ai, as Makino had proposed. Really? I think I was trying to find someone else to take care of them. I don't know. Having a mother, he decided, would help keep his family together despite their sad excuse for a father. But in so doing, Osawa had dug a psychological ditch between himself and his daughters. Yeah. A deep ditch, so that he could keep his daughters from being hurt. So that he wouldn't hurt himself. I kind of get what his thought process is. It just didn't end up that way, and yeah, ultimately not the best move. Now Osawa was staring across that ditch, wondering if it was too wide to leap. He thought back to his earlier exchange with Kajiwara. If you get angry, you show it. If you get sad, you show it. It's human nature to let other people know how we're feeling after all. Not Father of the Year, but he's trying his best now. He's trying his best now. He can still make up for it. But what if doing that hurts the other person? That's when you apologize, sir. Yes, that was right. He needed to apologize to Maria for what he'd done that day. It still wasn't too late. It's never too late. Words from the Ayakamiki fan forum. Words from another father posing as a 17-year-old girl. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. He recalled Pretty Honey's words. He needed to apologize to Maria, and so he needed to ask Ai for that password. Osawa was going to have to face his wife, his final boss. So we have several final bosses here, it seems. The final boss for Minurikawa is getting the last scoop. Final boss for Keiji is his wife. Final boss for Achi is his dad. And final boss for Kano is whatever else the heck is going on. Okay, maybe we can start jumping around. Jump to Keiji. At least we have one to be continued. Minoruka called up Keiji Osawa. Calling up. Ring, ring, ring. Let's go. Osawa's phone rang and Minorukawa's phone number popped up on the LCD display. The reporter must have finished looking into the matter Osawa had asked about. Mr. Osawa, sorry to keep you waiting. How'd it go? Well, I looked into the background of that story you asked about, and I learned who it was your wife was dating. Who was it? Osawa asked immediately. There was a brief pause. Mamoru Tanaka. I see. Finally, he had proof positive of a relationship between Ai and Tanaka. Now, more than ever, it was no time to waver. No matter how painful the reality was, it was also true that if they hadn't been dating, there would probably be no way of saving Maria. So, Minorukawa said, what was this big thing about disrupting the power balance of the world all about? There's something I need to take care of on my end first. Once I'm finished, I'll tell you everything. Yeah, that's fine. Things are pretty hectic on my end right now anyway. Osawa had expected Minorukawa to put up more of a fight. He'd figured a reporter for 4-star general gossip would be a bit more persistent. Oh, by the way, there was one other thing I wanted to tell you, Mr. Osawa. Osawa could practically sense a finger pointing in his way from the other end of the phone line. Don't be too angry with your wife. All too often in this world, people let their anger get in the way of solving their problems. We didn't see this from his route. I'm kind of surprised he said that. You may have a point. Osawa let out a wry chuckle. Alright then, I'll call you back later. I mean, no, Minorukawa never does things in anger. Have you ever seen him do anything in anger? No, he's just bombastic. Osawa found Ai standing by herself in the yard. She kept her back to him as she approached. Oh, she was here all along. May I have a moment? He asked quietly. What? Still, she didn't bother to turn around. There's something important I need to talk to you about. When you picked with fight with Papa, not father-in-law. I don't remember if that was in anger, though. I actually don't remember that was in anger or just riling him up, like he usually does. I'm not in the mood right now. Right now, just to put her state of mind into context, um, when the report that Tanaka died, she basically screamed like a banshee. Like, immediately screamed like a banshee. And I think right now she's kind of still distraught over that. So, yeah, kind of surprised to see her out in the garden. I thought she'd be like in her room or something. Please, I realize you're upset about Tanaka's death, but at the mention of Tanaka's name, I slowly shook her head. Don't. Just tell me what you want. Hurry up and get to the point. Asawa tried to move closer to her, but she pointedly kept her distance. This was no time to mince words. Did Tanaka give you his password? There was something Asawa needed to hear from himself before this went any further. Hear from himself first. Were you in love with Tanaka? Let's start with there first. There was something Asawa needed to hear for himself before this went any further. Were you in love with Tanaka? What are you talking about? Asawa frowned. Why did you marry me? He asked. You've got to be kidding. This is the important discussion you wanted to have? Did you ever love me? I let out a joyless chuckle. Love? I'm amazed to even hear the word leave your lips. There was a note of challenge in her voice. Let me ask you the same question. Did you ever love me? To be honest, I married you because I thought my daughters needed a mother. Wow. I let out a weary sigh. Some of the combative tension left her shoulders. That really is honest, she said. So I guess I should be honest too. I married you because my father asked me to. Political marriage confirmed. He wanted to chain you down so you didn't leave for some other company. And you're okay with marrying someone for something like that? For something like that? You really have no idea how much you're worth, do you? The value of one woman's life versus the potential profits your research would bring in? There's no comparing the two. If it meant that Okoshi Pharmaceutical could monopolize your talents, then what did it even matter what I wanted for myself? There was something akin to desperation in Ai's words. And so you sent me those threatening emails too? What? I looked at him in shock. He knew he guessed correctly. You would go that far, just to keep me tied to your father's business? That's right. I would. I bit down on her lip, hard. But what would you even know about how I feel? I'm sorry. Don't apologize. I shook her head vehemently. I'm not the victim here. You say that, but isn't it because of me that you and Tanaka weren't able to stay together? I began to tremble. Her secret was out. When did you figure it out? She asked. Earlier today. That tie clip. Right. Not the sort of gift one gives to one's husband's co-worker, is it? Word for word. Even if it was a listening device. Why did she need a listening device on him, though? Ai's smile was bitter with self-deprecation. Osawa couldn't help but pity her. Even Tanaka must have suspected she placed the company's profits above all else, if she'd go to such lengths to protect its interests. It was like she'd given up on her entire life just for that. Well, she said, aren't you angry? Osawa shook his head. Could you tell me just one thing, though? He asked. Did Tanaka ever tell you that what his lab password was? This is how we segue into it. But okay. Sure. His password? I needed to get the antiviral out of the lab. I flinched at the suggestion. To get it out? What are you thinking? That belongs to the company. I need just one dose to save Maria. Please. If you know, please tell me. I don't know it. Ai's voice was barely a whisper. Osawa looked his wife right in the eye. You're telling the truth. I am. I see. Then, do you have an idea what number he might have used for a password? Ai shook her head silently, then turned her back to her husband once more. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Osawa's last chant had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath and shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing he could do? To be continued? Another keep out? Wait, what? Keep out? Hold up. Why is there a keep out here? I'm kind of out of options for jumping. Wait, hold up. I'm a little out of options for jumping. Why is there a keep out? Excuse me. Okay, Minorukawa jumps to Osawa. There's no jump over here in Osawa. Maria's route has ended. Achi. Stanley's phone call? Nope, not that one. I'm guessing I'm gonna try to jump again. But what am I missing? What am I missing here? Why can't I jump? Good advice. Turn for the worst. Oh wait, I think. Wait, hold on, back up. I think I know why. Maybe I should have asked. Maybe I should have asked who was on the phone. Let me double check though. Let me check if I still can't jump. If I can't jump, then I should ask who was on the phone. Just a sec here. They just have to hope the young man would take him down. Cannot jump because they are not acquainted with each other. Okay. So let's go to this route. Stanley's phone call. Let's ask who it was, and then maybe that'll clear things up. Who was that just now? Stanley's reply was clipped. I know what they're after now. With that, Stanley proceeded to wrap his phone call. Guess I'm not gonna get much from this guy. Okay. Can we try a different answer? Who were you talking to? What was that about just now? Clipped? I know what they're after? Still can't get anything out from this guy. Jump, jump. No, nothing here. Still can't jump over. What are we missing? What are we missing? Why are we stuck? Why are we actually stuck? Up Dogonzaka, back home. It's not a bad end, we're just actually stuck. Minorukawa has nothing to do with this. Osawa is over here with Ai. It's a keep out. Minorukawa, is it can you do another jump to Osawa? Is that actually possible? Except this jump is over here, so this isn't where we want to be. Let's see, gotta think. Stanley. Who was that just now? And then let's scroll through this. Stiffened at the door. Okay, I guess we'll just get through all of this here. Unless patiently palm the hand. Sorry, don't want you to have to see this. You're about to witness crowning shame. Workroom, dad, sore wrist, Maria, sister, something something, tell the truth. Daisuke's arm, no idea what you're talking about. Okay. What is going on? Why can't I not do this? Where the GPS leads? Maybe we go through here first. Let's try that. You sure this is the right area down in GPS? No, it's not that. Kano scanned the area. It's just that Endo Electronics is right up ahead. What? Kaden stopped abruptly. Okay. What are you suggesting? Twins? The twins are heading the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? Kano can figure out. Okay. I feel like this is different a little bit. Took off running. Before long, Endo Electronics came to view. Stopped in front of the shop door. Right here. Okay. Kano thought. Same place as Hitomi's headed. Guess we're all winding up together. Okay. We've been brought together. She peered keenly at the building and surroundings. Okay. You think been roped into this too? We'll find out, quite possibly. Let's go. I need to report into HQ. Call the Kuze. What's going on? Located Maria Osawa. Was that? Right. I guess we're over here. Yeah, she's supposed to be a teenager. Okay. Provoked older man. Turn for the worse. Young man could take him down. Still no jump. What is going on here? What am I missing? Why can't I jump? Why can't I jump? Is this actually the end for Maria? Okay guys, we're gonna have to either look things up or figure out why we can't proceed. Because we're not getting hints about the lockouts. We're not getting hints about the keepouts. So what is going on here? Did I mess up somewhere? Let's see. Shibuya Scramble 428 1700 to 1800. What's going on here? There has to be something. I can't figure it out though. Because I feel like we should be... It should be straightforward. You jump from Kano to Achi, but for some reason, that's not happening. And I don't know if it's some choices I made or not. Tragedy at the Noodle House. We didn't go to the Noodle House. Keep out on Osawa. Keep out at Achi. Achi to be continued. Let's see. Minarikawa Endo? Wait, what? Oh! This is Minarikawa's route? I would not have guessed that. Okay. I guess when we were doing last names, we shouldn't have guessed correctly. Alright. Endo! Endo! Holy crap. The obtuseness of this game sometimes. Toyama furrowed his brow and muttered under his breath. Nope. That's not right. But why? I don't know. That's kind of hidden. I'm not gonna lie. That's a little bit hidden. You think it's one thing, but it's actually hidden elsewhere. The workroom door slowly eased open. Who is it? It's Maria! The reason why we couldn't jump to Achi was because it was Maria who shows up. That makes some sense. Achi was too shocked for words. I guess if we looked back at Kano's route and what they saw, we did see both Maria and Hitomi at the same place, but we didn't know how Maria got there. And so Maria gets here regardless. But to jump there, you have to go through a bad choice. Okay. The girl who entered looked just like Hitomi. Maria! Hitomi! Achi blinked in bewilderment. It was almost as if Hitomi were standing in front of a mirror. The two girls look so similar, and you've met them both. Maria, thank goodness you're alright. I'm so sorry I had you worried. Maria was safe, Achi realized. At last, he had managed to fulfill his duty. How'd you manage to get out of the storeroom? Wait, what? Daisuke put him there? What? I didn't see that coming. Tell me, Maria said sharply. Who was it who came up with this kidnapping plan? Oh, what? Suddenly, Daisuke shoved Maria aside and lunged for Hitomi. Stanley moved to stop him, but before he could intervene, the older man had a hold of Hitomi, pressing something that looked like a flashlight up against her neck. Dad? Achi started towards him, but Stanley held up a hand. Don't move. That's a stun gun. A piece of self-defense equipment for repelling would-be attackers, with an electrical shock. There are several types, including baton-type stun prods, guns that fire needles attached to flexible wires, and the latter type especially is frequently referred to in the US as a taser or taser gun, due to the popular models produced by Taser International, now Axon. I did not know this. Stun guns are used not only by civilian but also by law enforcement and military personnel for non-lethal applications, but if applied to the correct spot, it could still hurt a lot. If he zaps her in the neck, it could kill her. That too. You know your stuff, Daisuke said. You deal in American electronics? No, I do this for a living. Stanley drew his gun in an instant, taking aim at Daisuke's forehead. Wait, hold on! Achi interposed himself between Stanley and his father. This Achi is too shocked to even move? Nah, don't be too shocked to move. Wait, hold on! Achi interposed himself between Stanley and his father. Dad, let Hitomi go. You need to stop this nonsense. Achi walked slowly towards his father, a pleading look in his eyes. Nonsense? Which one of us is talking nonsense here? You don't know what's going on. If you knew everything, you'd be helping me. What do you mean, everything? With this girl's heart, we can save Suzune. Dad, who was it exactly that told you that? Daisuke did not reply. I asked you a question. Who was it that put this crazy idea into your head? A foreign organ trafficker I met at the hospital. Organ trafficker at the hospital? In Japan, a medical professional known as a transplant coordinator handles the liaison between the donor and the recipient parties. But there are many cases of illegal or borderline illegal activity carried out by third-party organ brokers. There are countries where organ transplants are openly performed for monetary gain, and no shortage of specialists willing to do the job. These questionable markets include suppliers who source viable organs and tissue for transplants from cadavers. Stanley let out a snort. A likely story. It's true. I was acting suspicious. I was suspicious at first myself, Daisuke said stubbornly. But I couldn't just sit around and wait for Suzune to die. and after talking to him about her rare blood type and all the difficulties in performing a transplant, he promised to do everything in his power. Daisuke's hands were trembling. Tears welled up in his vacant and bloodshot eyes. Then, a while later, he got back in touch and told me he found a potential match. Someone with the same blood type as Suzune, and roughly the same age. But then he told me that the girl was still alive. And so, what was the point? Her heart might be a match for Suzune, but it didn't matter if we couldn't get our hands on it. And I said that, but then the man told me. He told you what? Achi bit his lip. He told me to abduct her and turn her over to him. After that, he'd find a way to make it all work. At last, Daisuke had confessed. Now Achi had to try to come to grips with the truth he had just heard. I had to do something! His father continued vehemently. I had to abduct this daughter and see things through. I just couldn't take it. Katone had already been taken from me. The thought of losing Suzune too. I had to make sure I didn't fail. And so it was this organ trafficker who came up with a kidnapping scheme then, Stanley said. He kept his gun aimed at his target. Daisuke nodded. Describe him for me. He was tall, had black hair, spoke fluent Japanese. Stanley raised an eyebrow at that. Achi wondered if he had some idea who it might be. And taking Maria Osawa hostage in order to lure Hitomi. That was his idea as well? Yes, that's right. I allowed his computer to access my surveillance camera system as well. But then, this morning, I got a call from the hospital saying Suzune's condition was critical. I couldn't wait any longer. I had to help my girl right away. And then... Daisuke cut himself off, reaffirming his grip on his stun gun. I was looking at the surveillance monitor and saw a detective I happened to know. He was right next to this girl here. So I decided to ask him. I knew if I did, he wouldn't refuse. He could never refuse a request from me. And that was the man with the cane? Achi asked. His voice was low and hoarse. Yes, I was giving him directions while I followed you on the monitors. We kinda had a feeling about that. Dad, you need to let go of Hitomi now. There's no point to this. Achi took another step closer to his dad. Father. There is a point! If I kill this girl here and now, your sister can get surgery like she needs. But even Achi knew that things couldn't possibly work out that way. His father had grown so desperate to help Suzune that he lost all senses of judgment. Why, Achi? Why won't you help me? Don't you want to save Suzune? Daisuke made a pathetic sight. And yet, his desperation to save his child was so palpable it was heartrending. Achi thought back to that time he'd laid his father out when sparring. No matter how pathetic he may have looked, Achi always felt that sense of paternal love from him. You're not going to be able to talk him down, Stanley murmured. Achi shook his head. Stanley, he said, lower your gun. Tears were welling up his eyes. Please, lower your gun. Hearing the determination in Achi's voice, Stanley quietly complied. Achi stepped up to Daisuke, getting a firm grip on his father's slender shoulder. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. Then why are you trying to stop me? Dad, do you think this is what she'd want you to do? Daisuke's face fell. Did Suzune ask for this, Dad? Did she tell you to take someone else's heart so that she could live longer? Did she, Dad? Suddenly the fight seemed to ebb from Daisuke's body. The stun gun hung limply in his hand. If Suzune asked me to go and get someone's heart for her, I wouldn't object. I'd help her, just like she wanted. I wouldn't let you bear these crimes by yourself. But that's not what it is it? Suzune would never ask us to do something like this, would she? But now tears were streaming down Achi's cheeks. He knew that his father thought about Suzune more than he thought about anyone else. And so, he should know full well that she would never want this. Suzune is like me. Not like me. She's smart. She's kind. She'd never be happy about taking someone else's heart. Even if it saved her life, I'm sure she'd never accept that. She wouldn't be able to live with it, knowing something so horrible had happened to someone else for her sake. Isn't that the Suzune we know? Daisuke's cheeks were smeared with tears now as well. But then we're not going to be able to help her. The sound of father and son weeping echoed through the workroom. Maybe so, maybe we won't. But that's better than the misery and suffering she'd have to live with. Daisuke slumped to his knees on the floor, collapsing like a crumbling mound of sand. Hitomi, free from his grip, stood motionless. There were tears in her eyes too. You're such an idiot, Dad. Such a complete, utter idiot. Sobbing, Achi embraced his father. It's not gonna end like this, is it? Something's gonna disrupt this. There was a sudden thud from near the door. Everyone turned to look. Maria had crumpled to the floor. Wait, how did that happen? And a newcomer had appeared. At some point, Kanan had silently entered the room. Now she cradled Maria in her arms. Wait. Did she knock Maria out? Hold up. That seems a little suspicious. Why would you knock Maria out? Wouldn't you want to see her? Unless there's something else going on here that I'm not sure about. Standing in the doorway was a man Achi didn't recognize, his face pale. We'll go to it in a bit. Stay back! Kanan shouted at Achi when he tried to approach. It looked like Maria had fallen unconscious. Achi's heart was racing in his chest. An eerie silence fell over the room. For several seconds, no one said a word, their eyes all fixed on Maria. To be continued? No, not yet. Finally, Kanan looked up, her face ashen. It's starting. Oh, wait, oh, okay. The symptoms are starting. That makes sense. But I thought the symptoms wouldn't be starting until like a few more hours later. Unless they got the time wrong. To be continued. Okay. I guess it's time to jump to Kano. Time to jump to Kano and then get through this. Don't recognize. Jumping back. So what's the jump from Kano to Achi then? Was that just a red herring? After the young man's desperate pleading, the other fellow, apparently his father, finally gave in. He released his hand on Hitomi. The tension in the room was replaced by a solemn air of graffitas. Seeing father and son weeping as they spoke made Kano think back to his conversation with Tatsuno before the stakeout. What was it in people that drove them to do such horrible things? Sometimes it was a desire to save the ones they loved. Even such a heartfelt human emotion could drive someone to wrongdoing. Why? Why did people have to be like that? A sudden thud snapped Kano out of his musing. An instant later, Kanan hurried past him into the workroom. Okay, so she actually just collapsed herself. Maria had collapsed on the floor, and now Kanan was beside her. In a panic, Kano rushed into the workroom as well. Stay back! Kanan shouted as the others tried to huddle around the fallen girl. Please don't be what I think this is. Had the virus gone symptomatic? 2 hours ago, Stanley had told Kano that Maria was infected. He'd also said that her symptoms wouldn't develop for another 4 hours. Shouldn't they still have 2 more hours to go? Maria looked like she was dead, her eyes closed, her body motionless. Hitomi tried to approach despite Kanan's warnings. Maria, she cried. Maria, what's wrong? Kano held his arms wide to hold her back. Your sister has been infected with the Uo virus. The Uo virus? Hitomi's face went pale. Hey, Kano said to Kanan. Should you really be that close? She's developed symptoms. But Kanan didn't move from Maria's side. She calmly rested her head on the other girl's forehead. There's no fever, she said. And there's no blood coming from her ears, no lymph swelling. It'll be alright. She hasn't gone symptomatic yet. In that case, why did she collapse? Hitomi asked. I'm not sure yet. Whatever the case, if we don't get her that antiviral, she's done for. Then we need to get her to the lab right away, Hitomi said. She was trembling with anxiety. No, that's not an option. No, that's not an option? Really? Kano's tone was grave. You may already be aware, Miss Osawa, but without a password, we can't access the antiviral storage. But when I went there, my father and Mr. Tanaka... Mamoru Tanaka is dead. Murdered. What? She stared at him uncomprehendingly. No, that can't be true. He was a member of a crime syndicate. It's possible they killed him in order to silence him. So then, there's no way to save my sister? There was a hollow look in Hitomi's eyes. No, I won't accept that. Why? Why can't we help her? But no one had an answer. Kano gritted his teeth and hung his head. Why did it have to come to this? He'd come this far, but there was nothing he could do, and he hated himself for it. Okay, so no one knows the password, but I think Daisuke here is still gonna crack the lock regardless. He can do it. He's smart like that. I'll go to the laboratory. Who said that? It was Kanan. Electronics lock breaking is my specialty, or she could do it. Wait. The young man, Achi, spoke up suddenly. So you're a martial artist badass, but your specialty is lock breaking? He looked positively dumbstruck. Kanan ignored him, thinking out loud. Brute force. A cryptanalysis technique that involves test input of all theoretically possible patterns. If time were unlimited, this would be the most reliable means of decipherment. However, in practice, the process takes massive amounts of time and computational power, and can be defeated by systems that prohibit access after a limited number of failed input attempts, or changes passwords constantly. In this case, you're good. Side channel. Rather than trying to decipher the password itself, this method involves analyzing information from the device, such as processing time, power consumption, and electromagnetic leaks, and using these details to exploit the system. Isolating the run state of device is a crucial element of countering side-channel attacks. Shortcut. A cryptanalysis method that uses mathematical algorithms to carry out efficient bulk calculations against a block cipher that makes use of a shared key for encryption and decryption. Even when such calculations are theoretically possible, however, in practice the process requires large amounts of time, and the block cipher is seldom at real risk. Given the situation, I think I have to go with side channel. Side channel? No, side channel, Stanley asked. Where's your equipment? One of the lab PCs will suffice. I can connect to a special server from the net. I don't really understand the stuff you're talking about, Nachi said. But I'll trust you to handle this. I mean, you did risk your life to save Hitomi from that minivan explosion and all. Kanan nodded. I'll have to warn you in advance though. Cryptanalysis can take hours and still yield no results. I can't guarantee I'll be able to get the doors unlocked before Maria develops symptoms. I understand, Hitomi said. Achi nodded too. No one present had any objections. But what's that beeping? All of a sudden, there was a curious sound from somewhere in the room. What's that? What's making that noise? He looked around the workroom. What's going on? That's my computer. Daisuke hurried to his desktop. These are the number of monitors I expected from a surveillance room, not the one monitor we got earlier. In fact, you could even use even more monitors if you wanted to. The bank of monitors which had been displaying surveillance camera footage from around Shibuya had all gone black. What the hell? What's going on, Dad? Ashi joined his father, staring at the computer screens. It's all gone. The camera footage has been deleted. Daisuke blinked in disbelief. Now then, it seems our main cast has all been assembled. A man's voice, distorted by a voice modulator, suddenly emerged from the computer speakers. Who's watching us? A moment later, the monitors all began to display a view of the inside of the workroom. Dad, what the hell is this? Someone's broken through our firewall. Security system for preventing unauthorized intrusion into computer network. The term stems from a metaphorical reapplication of the concept of a wall meant to inhibit a spread of fire or other destructive forces. They've hijacked the surveillance camera system. The color drained from Daisuke's face as he looked at the screens. Where are they filming us from? Kano asked, scanning inside the room. He used the image on the monitors to guess where the camera might be located. It should be right in front of the computer, but there's no webcam here. Over here? The webcam! Oh, there is a webcam. The lens of the camera set atop the computer monitor glimmered like an eye. It was a miniature camera, used for web conferencing and the like. Now that Maria and Hitomi are both here, you have probably surmised the situation at hand. And so I offer a proposal. The laboratory password in exchange for Hitomi's blood. Wait, who has the password here? Realizing now that this was Alfred's voice they were hearing, everyone in the room froze. Alfred's voice? At 7 o'clock, roughly 1 hour from now, see that Hitomi Osawa is waiting at the Scramble intersection outside Shibuya Station, just like this morning. Unless, of course, you're feeling particularly confident. You do have Kanan with you. Perhaps you'd care to take a gamble on her lock-breaking skills instead. Kanan clucked her tongue in frustration. Alfred had known exactly what the plan was. Of course, if Kanan isn't able to get the door and open in time, will you do it then? Maria is sure to die, yes. But that's not all. If you don't agree to my offer, I have the means of creating another Maria, and a third. These infectees will spread the virus throughout Tokyo. The death toll will likely number in the hundreds of thousands. It is difficult to predict the scope of infection in the event of a bioterrorist attack employing a highly infectious viral agent in a city with a large and mobile population. In a worst case scenario, some researchers estimate as many as several million infected a matter of days or hours. So do think carefully before you decide. Alfred's voice was chillingly matter-of-fact. I will appear at the rendezvous in person. After all, it wouldn't do for the star of the show to miss the final curtain. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you then. Silence fell. Then the images on the computer monitor returned to normal. The surveillance camera footage came back online as well. Daisuke promptly yanked out his Ethernet cable and slammed his fist on the keyboard. Damn it! There was a hole in the firewall. I'll have to redo my security from the ground up. Good call, Kanan said calmly. We can't win this if our intel keeps getting leaked. Stanley pursed his lips in consternation. What do we do? Kano asked him. Do we give in to his demands? I mean, do we really expect he's just gonna blithely show up like that? He's practically begging for us to come up and catch him. There had to be some deeper plan at work. If it means saving my sister, I'll do it. Oh, that was Hitomi. Hitomi was resolute. No, Stanley said, you can't. What? Why not? Because if you do, you'll be killed. What? Hitomi's voice caught in her throat. With the antiviral still present in your body a week after the fact, you're too much of a liability for Alfred to just let go. He's right, don't do it, Anchi exclaimed. Hitomi, you can't go. Even still, I want to do it. Hitomi stared defiantly at Stanley. You still want to go even knowing that you'll be killed? I can't just sit here and hope that Kana is able to pull this off. I hope that Kana is able to pull this off, she said. I want to do something for my sister. I want to save her. She peered down at Maria, sprawled on the floor. She'd object to me going, I'm sure of that. But I want to do what I can. To do the things my way. To do things my way. No one tried to contradict her this time, and this is why she's not playable in this chapter, because she passes out. Got you. If she's willing to take the risk, then there are things the rest of you can do too. It was Kanan again. Let's hear it. Kana replied. He squared his shoulders. He was of the same mind as Hitomi. He couldn't just do nothing and leave it all on Kanan. After everything he'd been through, he wanted to stick with this case until the very end. Apprehend Alfard at the rendezvous and demand the password from him. Kanan offered the suggestion as if it were a simple task. That lets you get what you want without putting Hitomi in danger. Kano let a sigh. Hold on, he said. Even if we do arrest him, how are we going to get him to cough up the password? We don't have the time to drag him off to an interrogation room. And besides, he doesn't strike me as the sort to offer a confession that easily. There are ways, Kanan said. Once Alfard has made contact with Hitomi, call my cell phone. Hitomi tilted her head. Call you? Call you? I have plenty of information Alfard might want to bargain for. I can negotiate with him directly. Kano considered Kanan's proposal. I see. We'll try both options. Attempt to hack the password at the lab and also try negotiating with Alfard. That gives us 2 chances. With that tiny ray of hope, Hitomi's face brightened some. We'll split into 2 groups, one for the lab and one for Shibuya Station, Kanan said. Let's exchange phone numbers so we can be in touch when the time comes. The group quickly shared contact info as suggested. Hitomi and Kanan called one another's phones to be sure. Hitomi's cheerful ringtone felt out of place like Hayakamiki song, but also somehow soothing, a fragment of normalcy in the midst of crisis. Yes, we're all set then, Hitomi said, looking down at the LCD screen. Her expression turned up apologetic. I'm sorry, Kanan, for having to keep putting things on you. Hey, Kanan replied. Don't worry about it. Now I guess I should call my father. Hitomi called Keiji Osawa on his cell phone, asking him to let Maria and Kanan into the lab. We're gonna call him later. Kano leaned in to whisper into Kanan's ear. Are you sure okay with this? With what? I know that you're after Alfard. Are you sure you want to go to the lab and not... Right now, I want to save Maria. That's all. Her tone was curt and mechanical as ever, but there was a fierce gleam of determination in her eyes. Maria was clearly someone very special to her. Alright, Kano replied. Leave Alfard to me. He thumped himself on the chest. He succeeded this time, no matter what the odds. He'll succeed this time, maybe. Kano could scarcely recall the whirlwind of events that had brought him here. It's been quite a trip, let me tell you. He'd somehow survived a dozen disasters. Even now, a dear friend was in the hospital, at risk of dying. There were times when he'd been ready to give up. And yet, at the end of it all, here he was. His opponent was an international terrorist. No matter how you looked at it, that wasn't a matchup for a mere detective. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Rumi, Shizuo, Sasayama, and Detective Tatano. I'm gonna take down Alfard and save Maria Osawa's life. Just you watch and see. To be continued. We have one more to be continued to do. We have never seen Rumi's face the entire game. No, we have seen Rumi, but we've never seen Rumi's face. Those are two different distinctions. Yeah, Mirukawa met her briefly, but we never get to see her face. I don't know why that is. I actually don't know why that is. Okay, Kenji, we're gonna finish this chapter up with you. Okay. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Osawa's last chance had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath and shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing more he could do? Osawa's cell phone rang. When he saw the name on the incoming call display, he nearly shouted out loud. It was Hitomi. Hitomi! Are you alright? Please, tell me you're alright. Yeah, I'm fine. But Maria's... Maria? Is Maria there with you? Osawa's heart leaped. Dad, there isn't any time for me to explain everything, so I'll just give you the main points. This is so we can save my sister, so just stay calm and listen. Osawa struggled to hold back the 1,000 questions that immediately came in boiling into his mind. There's a girl named Kanan who's going to bring Maria to the lab. She's going to try to hack the password in order to get us inside. Wait, hold on. Just what in the world is going on? There are a bunch of people here working to help save Maria. Can you wait for us at the lab, Dad? I'm not sure that electronic lock is something that'll be so easy to... We got another plan in motion too. And if that goes well, we might be able to learn the password. It was all too much to follow, but Osawa realized they'd have to take Hitomi at her word. It was their only hope for saving Maria. Alright, he said. I'll do as you ask. But... You said you're trying 2 approaches? You're not going to be in danger, are you? No, I'll be fine. Don't worry. Excuse me. Don't worry about me. Okay. Very well. I'm headed to the laboratory now. You can't. What? What? Are you actually stopping him? Why? You can't go. The moment Osawa hung up and started for the house, I clung to him from behind. If you use the antiviral now, she said, everything will go public. There's no way we can keep the virus or the antiviral under wraps at this point. Osawa tried to pull free. But his wife was stronger than he expected. I'm not surprised. Besides, if Maria infects other people, the whole world is going to find out in a matter of hours. No, we can't. We can just quarantine her. If it's handled correctly, we'll just still be able to retain secrecy. Oh, okay, I have even less respect for her now. Never mind. Never mind. I have 0 respect for her now. Ai's voice was cold as ice. Do you have any idea what you're saying right now? I do. I know how it sounds. But this is the only thing I can... Her voice trailed off. He could feel the force of her trembling where she held him. Have I really put you in that much of a corner? Osawa slipped from Ai's arms and prostrated himself on the ground in front of her. Really? Are you gonna do a dogeza right now? I'm sorry. I'm truly, truly sorry. Oh, stop this. Get up. If you're really sorry, then don't go to that lab. But Osawa remained silent, his forehead pressed to the dirt. If you use that antiviral without corporate approval, your time with Okoshi is finished. He doesn't care about that. He actually doesn't care about that. He was gonna go to America anyway. You were gonna stop him from going to America. Come on, lady. Come on, lady. He didn't want to stay there. He only stayed because he was forced to. He wanted to go to America. That doesn't matter to me anymore. How can you say that? Virology is the only thing you've ever cared about. I began pummeling his back. Maybe virology is all that I care about. I don't know the first thing about anything else. I never wanted to know. Never even thought to find out. Never bothered to learn what you or my own children might think. I'm a failure. As a father, and as a husband. How dare you say that only after it's come to this? I struck him again, harder than before. You're right. He gasped out the words between her blows. Maybe this has been too long coming, but it's not too late. I can still start over. Start over? She paused in disbelief. You already turned down that American job. If you use the antiviral now, there won't be any starting over. You'll lose everything. I don't think he cares about that. Will I lose you too? After you've gone and thrown everything else away like this? How could I possibly stay with you? Wow, this lady is... I mean, I have zero respect for her before, but it's gone into the negatives now. I was sobbing softly now. Osawa wondered what her tears were for. But there was one thing he did know. She was right. They couldn't be together anymore. He got to his feet and headed back into the house, leaving Ai behind. Perhaps the most disliked person in this entire game, right there. No remorse though. He hurried through the back entrance and went into the garage. Climbed into his car, fastened his seatbelt, and took a deep breath. The image of a younger Maria arose in the back of his mind. There she was at the park, getting drenched by the rain, holding back her tears for as long as she waited for her father. Wait for me, Maria. This time, I'm going to come for you. I was wrong. Not he was wrong, I was wrong. I. Going to the lab wouldn't mean losing everything. He had let too many important things slip through his fingers. Now, it was time to take them back. Osawa pulled his car onto the street and sped towards the laboratory. As if to signal the long day was drawing to a close, the dazzling sun sank down between the buildings in the distance. To be continued? Wait, what? Hold up, wait, what? The end? That's the end of his chapter? Well, that's the end of his story? Okay, Maria's story is ended. Kanji's story is ended. We only have the other three. Wait, what? End. To be continued. Wait, Minorikawa! I thought we were done with you. Minorikawa, I thought we were done with you. Jump to Endo? Wait, I thought we were done. I'm guessing she's just so wrapped up in her sacrifice to keep the company profitable that literally everything is now seen in terms of company. Probably. Wait, what are we doing here? Why are we going over here? Nope, not that one. Nope, not that. That's not right. Tanaka. Okay, so we need to do. Oh, we needed to do Endo first before we get to Tanaka. I see. Tanaka. That's right. No, not that. It was something else. Okay. Report, explosion. Okay, we're gonna skip all this because it's gonna play exactly the same as if we guessed it right the first time. That's a lot. That's a lot to read through. Hold up. We're gonna go over here. Okay. Alright, scroll through this. 6:30 at the latest. Gang hangout in Harajuku. We have left. We're leaving Shibuya to go to Harajuku, of all places. Traffic jam. Where's that guy with a taxi? Well, we can't use him because there's a traffic jam, sadly. But now, remember, we have someone over here who's gonna get injured, and How are we gonna get out of this situation? Well, how's he gonna get out of this situation? Oh, there she goes. That's actually a really nasty fall. If I feel like she would have had a worse fall than that. Oh, it looks like she's also scraped her hand, or maybe the blood got on her hand when she did that. I mean, it's very obviously fake blood, but still, still, that hurts. It looks like it would hurt. 1 hour left. Damn it! What do we do? Clock ticked on. To be continued. Okay, the last to be continued. Let me get that again. Oh crap, lost the track. All right, everyone's at to be continued. Last chapter. We have our last 3 people. Oh, really? Showdown with Susumu? Tateno is back? Oh wait, it's a 2-hour block. It's a 2-hour block, what the heck? This is the final chapter right here. 2-hour block, series finale. We're not gonna do it today. Next stream's gonna be the last one, guys. I can feel it. I can feel it, hold up. Yeah. I think it's been a long road to get here, but we're back down. Well, we initially started the game with Achi and Kano. We have Minurikawa in tow right now also, but we're back down to our first 2 protagonists plus an extra one. And holy crap, the twist in this game is kind of crazy, not gonna lie. I'm still, in the back of my mind though, I'm still kind of wondering what happened to Yanagashita. We found where Toyama is. Where did Yanagashita go? He's probably looking for Chiri right now, to be honest. Wherever she might be. So I hope we see Yanagashita one more time. I think it would be hilarious if he shows up somehow in this finale somewhere. But yes, guys, it's final episode next week. I hope you're ready for it. So thank you all for coming. We're gonna end here a little bit earlier than normal today, but I think we're in a very good spot to save it. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching. I hope you're ready for the finale next time. I know I am. I know I am. See you next time, by the way. Yeah, and we'll have a stream tomorrow if you want to drop by for that. Bye, everyone. Goodbye.